where the buzz is always about great service. Happy Friday. We got a loaded program today. We got NCAA settlements worth $2.8 billion. We got another lawsuit with, Ticketmaster and Live Nation being sued by the Department of Justice. We got D-Mase's wide receiver list,
Yes.
1 through 32 that we have to react to. Willy D is live from MTSU. Willy D, late night for you out in the ballpark, huh?
Goodness, it was a late night, no question about it. It was an amazing night. I'm here at the TSSAA Spring Fling, and I'm at Middle Tennessee's baseball field, Reese Smith Baseball Field, and I've got 2 more games going on today. I love doing this. I've been doing it now for over a decade, calling these games. And I had one that, I'll tell you, that it was a memorable game. 12-11. It ended almost at 1 a.m. after a couple of delays. And Briarcrest edged Christian Brothers, a couple of teams from Memphis, in the Division II 2A title game. 12-11. Christian Brothers was down 8-0, came back and tied it, had 2 chances to win it in the bottom of the 8th, or the bottom of the 7th and bottom of the 8th, only to lose in 9. So Briarcrest blew an 8-0 lead and still won. So that's the short version. There were so many other crazy things that happened I can't even tell you, but it was a heck of a night of baseball, and that meant that I missed most of the action last night. I got home about 2 a.m., but I'm back ready to go today.
You missed the Nick and Willie Bowl last night?
Yeah, you did.
Vanderbilt,
Yes, I
Mississippi
did.
State,
I
Hoover.
did.
I think a lot of people missed that when it was on
that
so
game
late.
ended right around the time my game ended.
Yeah, so it was so
It was a late
that
night.
because I went and sat outside on the balcony for a while, and I came back in. I'm like, this game's still on? Goodness. So I said, and that was late.
It was a late night.
It was a late night. So, sports ran a little bit over last night, which is good. Got a chance. Obviously, the basketball game was last night as well. Boston ended up winning. Gentlemen's sweep, I see.
D-Mace and I are riding in
I'm
solidarity.
taking it to the bank.
Exactly.
I'm taking it to the bank. Indiana's going to win 2 in this series. They're gonna
Oh,
do it.
wow.
Ooh.
Okay.
They're going to win 2.
A little preview of what's to come.
Exactly. And people, be careful out there. We got a huge storm, it seems like, coming through here sometime today. I'm looking at Channel 5 right now, and they're talking about the storm. I guess the whole weekend it's supposed to be potentially bad. And then it all sort of coming to a head on Monday.
Eek.
It's
So
not
stay
supposed
safe
to be
out
a
there.
good weekend. So it's like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like a cold red for weather for the next couple of days because it's supposed to be a storm coming through here. So be careful, people, when
Yikes.
you're out this weekend. I know you're going to be having a lot of fun. I know you're going to be on the lake. Be careful. Be safe. Be responsible on the lake, people, okay? Because we want to be able to, know that you're listening come Monday when we're on the show, or Tuesday when we're on the show, when the show is back on. So just be safe out there this weekend.
Be safe out there. Keep an eye on the radar. It doesn't look great now, but
No, it's a little
we'll be
cloudy
keeping our
over
fingers
here.
crossed for some more sunny skies for everybody to have a nice and fun Memorial Day weekend. But let's get into it, because I saw an article from Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic, and the headline is Leafs Predators Mitch Marner trade hysteria kicks off NHL silly season. And I thought, oh, perfect. Wonderful. Like rubbing my hands together like hee hee hee, yay. I love silly season in any league whatsoever. And of course, the first thing that Pierre LeBrun addresses is one clip that we addressed on the show just a couple of days ago when Barry Trotz had his kind of last minute press conference following the Ryan McDonough trade. This was the clip in question from Pierre LeBrun.
I don't think Mitch is a free agent. So yeah, I wouldn't be. I just been looking. Yeah, well, yeah, no, well, they have to talk to me. I haven't talked to them, so not that I know of. But I read the same stuff as you, and it's just rumors.
And I don't want to pick on Alex Doherty, who asked the question of, hey, did you have any conversations about Mitch Marner? Which is very much so a big no-no. That when a player's under contract, a general manager cannot publicly make comments. So you heard Barry Trotz say there, yeah, last time I checked, Mitch Marner's not a free agent.
Hey, he shot his shot.
He shot a shot. Hey, he threw it out there, and I appreciate the
Exactly.
boldness because, look, we're all wondering the same thing, too. Pierre LeBrun starts off his article and said, "We are indeed an NHL silly season. The time of year when a general manager like Barry Trotz is asked about Mitch Marner point blank at a local media session." And look, it's all the conversations that we're having. The Mitch Marner and Predators conversation is not ending anytime soon. We've been talking about Marner or Reinhart or several other names that could potentially be on the trading block or are pending free agents. But as we go throughout this Predators offseason, yes, the Predators have plenty of picks to work with. Yes, the Predators have plenty of cap space and even more cap space now that they're not on the hook for the Ryan McDonagh contract. So, Barry Trotz is locked and loaded. Like, he's got ammunition to use in this offseason. But now the question is, you got to use it right. And then Barry Trotz said, "I'm not going to do anything that's not in the best interest of the Nashville Predators." So Pierre LeBrun continues to talk about the Mitch Marner and Nashville Predators, the possibilities, some conversations that may have been had or may not have been had, what the trade would look like. But Pierre LeBrun brings up a very interesting point that, frankly, I haven't thought about. I know we haven't talked about on this show. Pierre LeBrun says, let's go back to Nashville for a moment, talking about, Marner and his future. Philip Forsberg makes $8.5 million per season and is coming off of a 48-goal, 94-point campaign. Marner makes $10.9 million. He's coming off of a 26-goal, 85-point regular season, albeit in 69 games. They're both great players. But what I'm pointing out is the Predators' carefully curated cap culture, where the top earner is perennial Norris Trophy contender Roman Josi at $9.095 million. One thing that I have not thought about is that Roman Josi contract, for since he signed it, has kind of been that line of demarcation of he's the captain, he makes the most money on this team. Is that going to be a factor moving forward?
It shouldn't. If you want to make your team better, and I know you have guidelines historically as a franchise on how you like to sort of slice the pie of, salary cap, the money that you have to pay players. I know that Nashville has had a sort of, it seems like this long-standing, we're going to pay this guy this much and then so forth and so on. But when you can get an opportunity to get a guy like Marner, who's already making close to $11 million, if indeed you want him on your team, those are the questions that you have to ask. Like, do we need to go outside of protocol to be able to become a better team? Or can we stick status quo, do the things that we have been normally do, and work it that way? Well, it just depends.
Same process.
Yeah, exactly.
Same results.
But it depends. If you want it now, then these are some of the things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to pay guy an excessive amount of money to get him to come to this team. That's just the way business is right now. He's not taking less than what he's getting now. So whoever gets him will have to pay him more. In reading the article, I'm wondering why this didn't happen, because they said if it was going to happen, it should have happened last June or July and not this June and July. So obviously, why couldn't it get done last June or July as far as him being traded or whatnot? And why are they trying to potentially do it now? Because it seems like now is a little bit more stickier. It seems like him with 1 year left on his contract, how many teams are going to be willing to trade for that, especially right now? Because the article did say that the Maple Leafs hadn't gotten any offers. They hadn't talked to anybody. No one's called them about him. So are they doing that because of the money that he's making and the money that he wants to make? I know he has a no trade clause. I know that. But why are teams so hesitant? Take away, I know free agency doesn't start until July. But why does it seem like teams are hesitant to do anything in regards to Marner? They're hesitant to offer Toronto.
I think everything we're reading about this is all theory, all speculation, all, spitballing ideas, and within the media, right? There's no evidence that either Toronto or Nashville are even looking at this. So it's a fun one to talk about, but Elliott laid out about 6 or 7 things in our interview with him the other day that are real hurdles, right? The no trade clause is a huge one. So you'd be wasting your time if you're calling a team about a player who has a no trade clause, unless that player has basically signaled or agreed with the organization that it's time to start looking at a trade. So that is really the first thing that Elliott said needs to happen here. There's going to be a conversation probably over the next few weeks between Marner, his agent, and the Leafs. What are you guys thinking? What's the other side thinking? And I do think it's very interesting, Caroline, the question you asked is Marner at $10.9 million, he would become the highest paid Predator in theory, and that would change the structure. I do think that has been a David Poile kind of thing. My best player on the team should be my highest paid player in a perfect world, and that's usually been the case year by year. I think that's a factor. I don't think it's a disqualifier in a special case like this. I also wonder, too, and Elliott brought this up, is Mitch Marner so overpaid right now that he's going to have to think about recalibrating in his next contract and not automatically looking for a raise? I think he, in my mind, is not worth more than what he's getting paid right now. But when you're that age and you're 1 year away from unrestricted free agency, he's probably looking at wanting to get a raise. It's his last big contract. So there's a lot of factors here. All that to say, I think we're a long way from actually getting down to brass tacks and saying what would be on the table here for Nashville if they wanted to make a move.
Do you think that Roman Josi 959 number, I'll continue in this Pierre LeBrun article, and he goes through different scenarios with Marner, with Saros, so on and so forth. And Pierre LeBrun writes, if talks with Saros don't go well in terms of a contract extension with the Predators, that's where this gets interesting. So again, you get why the Nashville ideas began when it comes to Marner and Toronto. But I go back to what a Marner extension would look like and struggle to fit into the Predators' cap culture. Do you think the Predators' quote-unquote cap culture, meaning Roman Josi makes $959 and he's the highest paid player on the team, is that really a factor here?
I think it's a factor, like I said, but I don't think it's something that
everything?
You wouldn't consider. No, I don't think it should be everything. First of all, it's Barry Trotz now who's the GM. The one that set that structure was David Poile. I do think he was the one that he thought your hierarchy should reflect, your value to the roster. I do think it could upset a locker room if you've got 2 or 3 guys making more money than others when they're not your best players. So I think it's an ideal strategy, but I think right now, if you're looking ahead, the cap is going to go up, several $1 million over the next few years. And so I think that stands to reason that 9.5 is not going to be your highest paid player every year for the rest of Roman Josi's contract. At some point, you're probably going to go out for a big fish, possibly, and you have to look at the possibility that Roman Josi won't be your highest paid player.
That's kind of
so I think it's a factor. I don't think it's a disqualifier at all.
That's kind of where I'm at right now, too, is when did Roman Josi sign his deal?
3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Okay, 3-4 years ago. A lot changes in 3 to 4 years, and even 2, 3, 4, 5 years down into the future. If you commit yourself to, Roman Josi, no matter what, is our highest paid player, you're kind of pigeonholing yourself and kind of limiting and handicapping yourself and your roster to that whenever we know it's a market that is constantly changing. It's a cap that's increasing. The value of contracts will be different. When the cap goes up, contracts go up. Players get paid more.
Yes.
So if you're saying, no, our cap for ourselves is no player makes more than Roman Josi's $959 million, you might miss out on the big fish like a Mitch Marner or any other free agent that could become available this offseason. And I'm not saying hey, screw Roman Josi. That's not what I'm saying in the slightest. It has nothing to do with Roman Josi and his value to this team because, as we all know, he is invaluable to this team. It has everything to do with the market and really the needs of this team right now. What did Barry Trotz say? We need to get deeper, faster, younger, overall better on the top 9. Need to find more scoring and really addressing that big question of those elite goal scorers, those top forwards. You're going to have to pay those guys. And those guys make
Yes.
more and more money year over year. So it has nothing to do with Roman Yossi and everything to do with two things: the market and the goals of the Nashville Predators.
And who it is that you want to invest in. And that's an important question with Marner. So let's just, in a hypothetical, determine that Toronto and Marner decide, hey, we're going to explore trading you, which is what a lot of people think is going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. I mean, in theory, Craig Berube and Brendan Shanahan could say, okay, let's run up the same flagpole with Marner again, and let's look at a contract extension. That's possible. But I think a lot of people reading the tea leaves think there's a good chance they at least come to an agreement that, hey, we're not ready to sign him to the next deal. Let's play this out, and we'd like to explore trading you. So can you give us a few teams, because you have a no-trade clause, that you would be willing for us to give a call privately? And if Nashville is on that list, then that becomes, I think, something where a real discussion can happen, right? So those are all hypotheticals that haven't happened yet. We agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of these are all hypotheticals.
Then all of a sudden, Barry Trotz could get a phone call and say, okay, Marner has agreed for us to look around for a deal. He's identified you guys as a team that he'd be willing to be traded to. So what do you think of Mitch Marner? And so that is where Barry Trotz has to decide. Is Mitch Marner the kind of freak, big fish guy that we've been talking about a lot, that the Predators have lacked, big-time forward that they're looking for the price that he's going to get paid? That's an essential question. So how do you find that out? Well, you look at his numbers. Yes, anybody can do that. But then you got to really look at the person, Mitch Marner. Is he the winner? Is he the big-time player that is worth every bit of the 10.9? I don't know the answer to that at all.
Yeah.
But you got a guy on your team like Ryan O'Reilly, another guy like Luke Shen, that have played with Mitch Marner, and they know a little bit more about the guy. So that's where I would go if I were Barry Trotz. And if all of that stuff lines up, then you can start getting into what would we offer for a player like that. But that's like 7 steps. And Elliott laid all this out the other day. We got a long way to go before we get to that point.
Totally. And that's the question. Mm-hmm. Is he the freak that's worthy of $11.5, $12 million or whatever he's going to want to sign for on that next deal?
Because that's super freak money.
That
right?
is.
We're talking over $10 million, over $11 million. That you've got to not just be a great player, you've got to be a superstar.
But
to justify that.
But even with that, how I understand what y'all are saying. Like superstar players, that's what you pay superstar players or super freaks. You know, and is he that or is he not that?
Yeah.
But it's not necessarily is he that or is he not that. It's does he become that for the Nashville Predators, or does he help, the team become much better, now a true player in the playoffs? Because that's what this is about. It's about adding pieces to your team to make you a legitimate Stanley Cup team, not just a team that, if they get in the playoffs and maybe if they go on a run, if this doesn't happen, then yeah, maybe. No, when you add guys like this, then that changes the perception of your team. And that may change how you ultimately have to pay him, because without him, how do teams view you, or how do you view your team? Mm-hmm. And then with him, how do you view your team? Is your team much closer to winning a Stanley Cup with this particular person or any other person of his caliber? Are you closer to winning a Stanley Cup, or are you still further away? That's how I think you got to determine it. If you are closer to winning a Stanley Cup, then maybe he does deserve that money that he wants, whether it be $10 million or $11 million, or if he just wants $9 million.
And that's a good point. And I think another key question is, if you have to question if he's a freak, if you have to question if he's worth the money that he's getting,
maybe he's not.
It means he's probably not.
Yeah.
Would anybody question if Connor McDavid made $14 million? Mm-mm. I know that's like an insane amount of money.
No, but nobody questioned it. No.
Would anybody question how much Patrick Mahomes is making?
No.
Give the man $100 million a year for all I care.
It's name the price.
Exactly.
It's basically you tell us what you need to make. We'd love.
But
for you
there's
to
not many of those guys, Willie, in hockey.
There's not many of those guys.
Yeah.
And Marner is, in my opinion, not one of those guys. Mm-hmm. Now he's a great player.
Yeah.
But this is another factor: is he's got 1 year left on his deal. Also, so are you having a conversation about the next contract before you even enter into trade talks? Remember, they did that with Kyle Turris, and they got burned badly, right? Kyle Turris, they thought was going to be a really good fit as the second line center for $6 million a year. They're still paying Kyle Turris on the buyout, and they're going to be paying him for the next few years. He's just short of Bobby Bonilla. They need to have probably a Kyle Turris day to go along with Bobby Bonilla Day on July 1st.
Is there a Kyle Turris Day? Is there one day where he gets paid?
Well, I figure, if there is a national, tie knot day or a national, mother's shopping day, they have days for a lot of random things.
Yeah,
so why
National
not?
Chocolate Donut Day. Like, why do we need a day for that?
Right. So why not have a Kyle Turris Day in Nashville? Celebrate. He's got a great family. He's a great guy, and he's going to get paid by the Predators for a while. He's not playing for anybody. I'm just saying.
That's a good job right
That's
there.
the best gig in the
That's
world.
a good gig right there.
Him and Jimbo Fisher just sitting back collecting checks.
And Bobby Bonilla.
And Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in the group of greatest jobs in the world. Doing
No
nothing
question.
and getting a fat check to do it.
No
so-
question.
but okay,
that's what you got to decide. That's why I need the insight of a Ryan O'Reilly, other
Yeah.
people I know around the league. Tell me what this guy is made of, right? Is it just that he's in a huge fishbowl in his hometown of Toronto, and that whole program has been a mess, and you get him out of there, and he could get to the next level? There's a risk involved. But here's the other thing I'm trying to do. If I'm Barry Trotz and I'm exploring this, I want to take advantage. I'm going to imagine that Mitch Marner, with a no trade clause, is not going to be agreeing to get traded to just anybody. He's only going to get agreed. He's only going to okay a trade if he's going to a place he wants to go to, and a place that maybe he wants to settle in for more than a year. I don't know if he's going to say, just trade me to this spot and I'll be there for 1 year, right? So there's a lot of variables here.
And that's what I want to ask you, Willie, and you can answer it after break. Because he's only 27, I don't know when he turns 28. I don't know if he's turned 27 during the season and whatnot. He's going to want a long-term deal. He's going to want the 6, 7, 8 year deal. How does that look for the Nashville Predators? That's what I would like to hear your answer on.
And we can continue to get into that coming up next, because Willie, you bring up a fair point of, like, do you have to get into the deal talks, the long-term deal talks now? We can get into that coming up next. Plus, Willie's wish list of the offseason. We've thrown so many names out there. Names that have been mentioned in articles. Names that Elliot Friedman has thrown out on our show. Names that Willie has come up with. So many names of free agents or guys that could potentially be on the trading block. So let's organize it from list of gotta have, could live without, don't need them. Willie's breakdown of the free agents and potential trade targets for the Predators this offseason. We'll get into that coming up next as well. And, of course, your thoughts. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Caroline, Willie, D-Mase. We're brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Hey, happy Friday, everyone. This is Derek Mason, and you heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you have set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a resolution to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. And I want you to know that you're not the only person that has done this, or you're not the only person that is in this boat. You're not alone. So, at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss, people. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood tests, supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and no one else but you. Connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you, people. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Do you think you're ready at this standpoint to maybe go after that big game, that big name that may be out there? Maybe it's somebody who's going to be a free agency. Again, maybe it's somebody who's on another team right now, thus I can't throw out names because that would be against the rules. But
I've already got asked about the one, so
you already got asked about Marner?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's. I said I read. I don't read everything, but I've been asked that a few times in the short period. Anytime I go walking around, even downtown Nashville, and I just that's news to me. You guys are just it must be slow in the hockey world. So I've been in with our scouts and exit meetings for 2 weeks, so I haven't had time to do that stuff. But we'll make our calls around the league, and if there's opportunity for any kind of, we'll call high-end players, we have draft choices, we have prospects, we have draft capital. We'll listen to anything, and then now we have a little more cap space. So that's not off the table, but there's no truth to anything that you're reading right now.
Willy's wish list. We pick and choose our freaks.
Mm-hmm.
Pick and choose your Predator freaks on your wish list. That was Predators general manager Barry Trotz on with Stillman and Company earlier this week. And to take something that Adam Vingan shared earlier this week, this is Barry Trotz's way of a la Regina George in Mean Girls saying get and loser, we're going shopping. Because we've got cap space and we've got picks, and now we are going shopping. Which, Willy, I heard that you just watched Mean Girls for the first time. I hope that you loved it.
I did. I was inspired by you and Adam when we
Good.
had Adam on earlier in the week. So now I'm going to make the recommendation for D-Mase to watch at some point.
Have you
So he
seen
can
it,
be
D-Mase?
in on
Both
some
of
of
you
these
have daughters.
references.
How have you not seen Mean
I
Girls?
have not. I've seen bits and pieces
Okay.
of Mean Girls, but I hadn't sat down and watched the whole thing.
Greatest film in cinema history.
Caroline gives it the highest recommendation. I'm not going that high.
So
but I did
Rotten
enjoy it.
Tomatoes
Good.
is just great, huh? Or
100p.
I think Rotten Tomatoes, it got like an 84 on my rating thing that I saw. It gave you the little preview, the info on the movie, and that was it. So I was like, hey, I got to watch this, man.
Pretty solid reviews.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So they are going to go shopping, no doubt about it. I think we got to keep in mind that there's different ways to go about this, and the freak conversation is one conversation, right? Am I going for one big fish, or am I going for two or three really good players? Three might be a little bit high if we're just talking about forwards. I think if you're talking about free agents in general, because I think now that McDonough has been traded, there's going to have to be a move to replace him on D. So that's maybe something we wouldn't have thought before that trade happened a few days ago. So there's a couple ways to go shopping, right? Am I going shopping for a couple of guys who make between $4 and say $5.5 million, that mid-range guy that could be a great fit, or am I going to go for the freak? There's not many freaks that are going to hit the market. Freaks usually don't hit the unrestricted free agent market, which is why the Marner conversation is kind of hovering. But remember, you are going to have to trade something to Toronto, even if it gets to that point, and then pay a boatload to Marner to keep him. So right now, where I sit, I really would like to explore what is in front of you in the free agent market, because I do think there's some pretty good guys that might hit the market on July 1st. We don't know, because there's still times for their current team to re-up with those guys. Like Alex Carrier could still re-up with the Predators.
Yeah.
But he is a pending UFA.
And before we get to your wish list, Willy, or just your list in general, that is exactly why I think if the Predators were to get in on the Mitch Marner sweepstakes, and look, I think that Barry Trotz can at least kick the tires. He can pick up the phone. I think you can at least do your due diligence there. But I think that is why you're going to have long-term contract talks if you're going to trade for Mitch Marner. Because how can you justify trading what it would take to get Mitch Marner and then not be able to come up with an agreement, a long-term agreement, and you just have 1 year of Mitch Marner? Like, I'm just saying hypothetically, What if you trade UC Soros to the Toronto Maple Leafs for 1 year of Mitch Marner?
Gotta get a deal.
Maybe you get to the second
that's a
round of the
non-starter.
playoffs, and
That's a
right,
non-starter.
exactly. You
You're
have
not
to
gonna do
have
that.
those long-term conversations.
Yeah, I would almost look at it first of, is there a way I could trade for Marner and not give up something like Soros? Just because you're in an advantageous position. You don't have to he's the guy that's got the no trade. He's the guy that's saying, I want to come to Nashville.
Yeah.
So why am I going to bend over? This is what all the Toronto reports, they do it as if Nashville is going to give up the farm for Marner, and there's no way that's happening. I'm not doing that. If I'm going to pay Marner premium money, I'm certainly not giving them premium stuff in return. I'm taking them off your hands.
Especially, yeah.
That's how I'm looking at it.
If Toronto is looking to get either the number off the books or looking to go in a different direction, looking to break up the core four, it feels like a lot of these conversations are happening because they're motivated by Toronto. Because Toronto's looking to go in a different direction. If you are looking to change course, why do I have to, sweeten the pot a little more just because you want to? No, you are the one that needs help. And I'm speaking from Barry Trotz's perspective, we've got the cap space, we've got the picks, we've got a goaltender. We can go find other goal scorers in the free agent market. We don't have to do business with you. You got to do business with us.
I agree. So I think you use that leverage and you weigh your other options. That's the beauty of having the flexibility of a lot of prospects that you have as options, a lot of draft picks that you have to wield, and a lot of cap space. Toronto is not in that position from any of those standpoints. They don't have a deep prospect pool. They don't have a lot of draft picks, and they certainly don't have a ton of cap space when you consider, what they're trying to do. They do have some cap space, but they've got a ton of people that they have to address because they've been renting and maneuvering to try to, quote, go for it for the last 4 or 5 years, and that's cost them a lot.
Now, Willie, you said you would try to, if there was a deal to be made with Mitch Marner, you would try to exclude UC Saros in that. If you do that, are you willing to give up some of your more than likely prize prospects in the process? Because you're not gonna, if you don't want to put UC as part of a package, if indeed this come to fruition, meaning if Toronto decides that they do want to try to move Marner and they had that discussion with Marner, are you willing to give up prize prospects in return?
I think you would have that conversation. As far as when you say prize prospects,
I'm saying your top prospects, other than Askarov, your prize prospects in Milwaukee. If Toronto say, hey, listen, you don't want to add UC in there, then okay, draft picks and prospects, and we're talking highly taunted prospects.
I would say that in the prospect pool, it's a deep pool. Mm-hmm. It's not a ton of guys that I would say are premier prospects. Now, Joachim Kemmel, to me, would be one I would not want to do anything with. I'd want to hold on to him. There's some middle, some guys like a Tomasino or, guys like that who are good players that could be packaged with other things to put together something. It's a really good question, Derek, and I would just be trying to explore from a position of strength. Mm-hmm. If I'm Barry Trotz, and I would try to. I don't think it's an automatic that UC Saros. It sounds great from Toronto's standpoint, but if I'm Barry Trotz, I don't want Mitch Marner that bad. I've got other ways that I can improve my roster with Saros. I got to know. For example, there's a lot of talk of now that if you were Toronto and you got Saros, you have Saros and Joseph Woll. Joseph Woll is a 25-year-old goalie that looks pretty good. He's had trouble staying healthy, but he's played really well when he's played. To me, if I'm going to think about giving you Saros for Marner, I want Woll back. That gives me another goalie to put with Askarov. You see what I'm saying? These are the things that you would talk through. To me, there's just a lot of layers to this. It's very complicated. From where I sit, I'm leaning against going that way. I kind of like what's out there in the free agent market, or going in a different direction to get a premier forward, packaging some other things where I keep Saros and I get an upgrade at forward.
So
and I'll replace McDonough. Obviously, that's another big piece that you got to do now.
Another little piece that was added to your to-do list this past week. We've thrown out so many names. Marner probably the biggest one that we've talked the most about, but several names of pending UFAs or potential trade targets. So, Willie, we tasked you with kind of ranking those players in terms of, great fit to maybe not so great fit, or gotta have to, we can probably live without him. Give us kind of a peek behind the curtain of who you are looking at to be the best fits in terms of, style of play, in terms of locker room fit, in terms of, just making sense financially. who are you looking at the top of your list that should be at the top of Barry Trotz's list?
Okay, do you want me to discuss just forwards, or do you want to throw the defenseman into the discussion as well? If we're just talking free agents, because there's also the other route would be I've got 1 million picks, right? I got a bunch of second-round picks. I got a bunch of fourth-round picks. So I'll give you a second and a third. I'll throw in a prospect like Tomasino, and that gets me somebody off of your payroll that you don't think you can keep. I mean, there's that, and that's so hard to predict and speculate on. So let's leave those guys out. Mm-hmm. So real quick, I'll give you the 3 defensemen that I think would be the most attractive to replace McDonough if you're just going free agent, right? Number one, what's going to happen with Alex Carrier? Just, you know him. You know what he's about. Andrew Burnett knows where he fits. That is one thing that I think you're going to keep hearing is, can you re-sign Carrier? They certainly can. It's just they want to keep it at a price that they think is fair. So there's one. That's sort of a sidebar. We talked a lot about Brett Pesce. Adam has shared a lot of numbers with me. He shared them on our show. I think Brett Pesce as a right-hand shot could be, a good fit. He's the type of player that McDonough is. He's a winner. He's younger. He's going to be expensive, but maybe not as expensive as McDonough has been. And I think he would be a nice fit on the team, even though he's not a scorer. He's a stay-at-home defenseman, but that could balance the, ambitious play that Yossi has. Yossi's going to get up the ice. He's going to go for it. So having a partner that kind of stays back and restores order is potentially a good fit. So Brett Pesce's on the list. If you're looking at a guy that Andrew Burnett has a background with and is aggressive and gets up in the play, and he's a little bit more like Yossi, and he fits in the Burnett system, I'm looking at a guy like Brandon Montour, who might become available if Florida kind of runs up against the cap, which they will. They're going to have to re-sign Sam Reinhart, who scored 57 goals. He's going to be really expensive. He's already making 6.5, but I can't imagine that Florida lets him get away. So that might have them saying, well, we got to make choices here. Montour is going to become a free agent. I don't know that for sure, but if he hit, that's a guy I would take a look at for sure. So those are the 3 names: Carrier, Pesce, Montour. Then there's some others as well. That's just on D.
If the Predators re-sign Carrier, I have viewed it that it's not going to be filling that McDonough role. He's not going to
it'll
solve
be to do
your
the same
problem.
thing he's been doing.
Right. He's not going to solve your McDonough problem, but it at least doesn't create another need for another defenseman in his place.
Agreed. So it would be Carrier and someone else.
I want to get into the forwards on your list as well. So we'll do that coming up next, unless you have a final thought on that, Willie.
No, that's good. And Barry Trotz was asked by Jared the other day, can you replace McDonough internally? And he said, basically, no, not right now. But you do have options internally that I do think will play bigger roles. Spencer Stastny for sure is one. A wild card is Tanner Molendijk, who's really, really young, but I think he could be somewhere in the picture next year with a really high upside, but super, super young. And then there's some other guys in Milwaukee that I think have shown that they're pretty good prospects. But I think in the short term, you got to have. I feel good about going out and getting another veteran in addition to signing Carrier, if that's the route they go.
Let's get into the forwards on the other side. Free agents, of course, like Willie said, trades are always a possibility because the Predators have picks and they have prospects in their arsenal if they want to put together a trade package. But just based off of who we not necessarily know for certain, but know are pending UFAs, who would be the best fits for the Predators? We'll get back into Willie's wish list coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Tune into 94.9 The Fan today as the Nashville Sounds take on the Charlotte Knights at First Horizon Park. I was there for the doubleheader yesterday, and it was a blast. Pre-game at 6:20 p.m., first pitch at 6:35, with coverage also available on 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks, Family Leisure, and Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. 1025 The Game this Sunday for coverage of the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Coverage will begin at 4 p.m. with the race starting at 5 p.m. Coverage also available on the 1025 The Game app and at thegamenashville.com. We'll have Ask D-Mase in less than 1 hour, so get those questions in for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Get your texts in. We'll get to your calls starting right at 12:30, so Ask D-Mase in less than 1 hour. But now we're getting into Willy's wish list. Addressed a couple defensemen that the Predators could add, or even Alexander Carrier, who is a pending UFA, to re-sign him, and potential options to fill that hole now that Ryan McDonough has been traded back to the Tampa Bay Lightning. But what about some goal scorers, Willy? This team needs some goal scorers. Who's on your wish list?
And let me add one more to the list before, because I would be remiss if I don't add the one name that Elliot threw out to our group and on his podcast.
Public enemy
Nikita
number one.
Zadorov. Yeah, Zadorov. If you wanted to go the big route. So I gave you three different kinds, right? I got the stay-at-home guy, right-hand shot, Brett Pesce, who's a little bit more in the McDonough mold. I got the offensive defenseman who maybe Andrew Burnett kind of likes, that he's got a background with, in Brandon Montour. And then, as Elliot calls him, a tree. And there's more than one. But those big, huge guys who hit, intimidate, like Zadorov, those are three different types of defensemen. All could maybe, in theory, help the Predators. They're not going to sign all of them, but that would be a good list, I think, to keep your eye on, those types of guys. So now let's get to the forwards, right? The Marner thing is its own thing. The next thing that I think is a little bit of a unique category would be Steven Stamkos. Now that Ryan McDonough is back on Tampa Bay, what does that do? Number one, it puts Tampa in a ridiculous cap situation. I don't know what their capologist is telling them. It makes no sense to me from their standpoint. They're going to have to give something up, and I just don't see how they have the budget to re-sign Stamkos. Now, the problem with Stamkos to Nashville is now you've lost the ace recruiter, because Ryan McDonough, if anything, is going to be recruiting him to try to find a way to get back to Tampa, right? Mm-hmm. So that took a little bit of the piece away from what Stamkos covet coming to Nashville. So I still think that could be there. He could hit the market. I would look at him. He's coming off his age 34 season. He had 40 goals, 41 assists. Now, a lot of that is on the power play. And there's nothing wrong. Power play goals, last I checked, count the same amount as even strength goals, right? But he has not been quite the force 5-on-5 the last couple years. But he's one of those amazing shooters who is going to energize your power play. So what kind of offer are we talking here? Probably not a 5 or 6 year deal, right? He's too old for that. So do you try to concentrate, say, a 2-year deal? He's been making 8.5 for the last several years. So what do you guys think of it, like a 2-year deal, and maybe you go high at like 8.5 or 9 million and say, come here for 2 years, play alongside of Ryan O'Reilly, play with Luke Shen, and let's see if we can go win.
I would definitely go shorter term, just because you said, he's 34? 35?
Yeah, so he'll be 35. He's 34 now.
To commit anything longer than 2, maximum 3 years, I think would be silly. You're almost setting yourself up for failure there. But here's the interesting thing about the Stamkos sweepstakes. Because I'm with you, Willy. When I saw the McDonough trade, my first thought was, okay, there is no way, ain't no way they have money to re-sign Steven Stamkos. But I talked to Robbie and Joe. I was on their show earlier this week, and Robbie said, well, I think that this is even more reason that the Lightning are going to re-sign Steven Stamkos, because what's the point of trading for Ryan McDonough if you're only going to lose another key cog to this kind of championship roster? So I was like, you know what? That's a really good point. That is true. That if Tampa Bay is trying to capitalize on this window.
I agree with that 100%. And I thought that, but then you start looking at the math. Elliot said the same thing, but I'm like, Elliot, look at the math. What are you paying Stamkos? Is he taking a big cut? They only have $5 million of cap space, and they have other players that they have to sign. They have to fill out a roster. That's what we were joking, right? They're not going to go out with a team of 15 players. So they have to have those extra guys. So somebody else big has got to go, and it's not just Tanner Jeannot. There's, to me. So, look, that could be right, but then another guy is going to be trade bait, and that would be an interesting thing to take a look at. So Stamkos may not hit the market. I agree that it makes perfect sense that if you're going to bring McDonough back and get the band back together, you're not going to let Stamkos go. But I just don't see how the cap works. It's a hard cap. You can't finagle the cap.
And maybe they
quite as easily.
Maybe the Lightning do try to finagle the deal a little bit, because what is he making now? 8.25?
8.5.
8.5. Maybe the Lightning will look at it and say, look, we could sign you to 2 years, 8.5, or we could sign you to, 3 years, $3 million, 3 years, 4 million, 4 years, $4 million, whatever it might be. We'll commit more term, so there's less money against our cap this year. Are we going to have to pay you well past your prime? Probably. But our window's short anyways. Our window is closing anyway. So we'll just try to fit you under the cap this year and eat it in the final couple of years of the contract.
Yeah, they could do that, but there's no doubt that they have decided we are going to put the pedal to the metal and go Thelma and Louise, and we're going to try to win until we drive the car off the cliff. We know the car is going over the cliff. We just hope that the runway is long enough that we can make one or two more big runs and try to have one more kick at the can. They know it's a disaster waiting to happen. So they're just trying to put it off as long as they can. But with only $5 million of cap space, 5.035 to be exact, according to Cap Friendly, they would only have 6 defensemen signed. You can't only have 6 defensemen. You have to have 7 or 8. So that's no budget for that. They would be over the cap to sign Stamkos, even if, let's just say he signed for $6 million. That would still put you over the cap with several other forwards that you have to fill out, even if only making the league minimum, right?
Yeah.
You got to have some depth somewhere in there. So it's still very problematic without coughing up another player that is part of their, quote, core. So, that is a wait and see. But if Stamkos hits the market, I think you got to take a look at it, although that would be a little bit more of we're going to try to go for it for a year or two, right? You wouldn't be bringing in a guy like Stamkos if you didn't think you could elevate and start being a team that could win playoff series, which
right
also
now
ties into your Saros discussion, right? Because the Saros thing is a gamble that you guys have admitted. If you're going to think about trading Saros, you got to be thinking about taking a step back to take a couple steps forward. So I'm not taking a step back if I'm signing Stamkos, right?
Totally. That would just not make very much sense. That you bring in, a proven goal scorer just to turn around and put in an unproven commodity in net. That's the That's the decision that Barry Trotz
that's
is
too
going
much
to have
risk.
to. That it doesn't make any sense. It's addition by subtraction or subtraction by addition rather. In addition to Stamkos, Willy, quickly the rest of your forward list.
Okay, and these are names just that we'll talk more as we go forward here.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do think that the Chandler Stevenson name that Elliot brought up the other day that Jared hasn't heard of, and I laughed at that because Stevenson is a really, really good player. He would be a great example to me of a guy that you wouldn't pay $8 million or $9 million, something like that. You'd get into that range of that 5, 5.5, maybe 6, something like that, but maybe you get him a little less. And he's a guy that I think could be a great, complete, all-around player, a winning player, that's a 50 to 60-point guy that takes face-offs that I think could fit, help you win in a lot of different ways, even if he didn't score, a la Ryan O'Reilly. And he would be an upgrade, a big upgrade at center. I think that would be a name to study if you're sitting there going, who is Chandler Stevenson? He's been playing for Vegas. He is a center on a team that's very deep at center. But I think he's a really good player. Keep an eye on him. There's, of course, Elias Lindholm, who we just saw. He might hit the market, and he's a great number 2 center that I think has been a really good player in the league for a while. So if we're looking at centers, those are the names. Stamkos, I don't know if I consider still a pure center. He is a guy that wins faceoffs, but he is kind of a quasi-center wing. But at age 34, I don't know if he's a fit at center. So he's an interesting category. And then there's some wingers, some speedy wingers that I like. Teuvo Teravainen, Anthony Duclair, who Andrew Burnett has gotten to see up close. He's a speedy player, a rush player. Andrew Burnett, I think, likes players like that on the wing. Duclair is an interesting one. And obviously, Tampa has no money to offer him. So I'm pretty confident that he's going to hit the market. Jake Gensel is one. Take a look at Carolina. Their GM just stepped down. They're going to have a new GM. They got a lot of players that are free agents, a lot of decisions. A guy like Gensel They might re-sign him, but he could hit the market, and he obviously is a great player. Now, he would be a guy that's going to make a ton of money, so that would be a big investment. So those are just a few names. Another name that we discussed the other day is Jake DeBrusk from the Bruins. He would be another guy that you would pay substantially, but not in the $8-9 million. But he would be a guy that in the mode of I'm going at you with a really good balanced top nine where I have 3 lines that can hurt you every night, and I'm going to get 1 or 2 of those lines going consistently, and that's how I'm going to overwhelm you with a good team. I think DeBrusk would fit in that kind of attack for the right price.
And we'll continue to get into Willy's list, break down, the likelihood factor of those players even hitting free agency, much less becoming eventual Nashville Predators. The fit, we'll continue to do a deep dive into that. But Willy, yesterday, D-Mase had a list of his own. 1 through 32, his wide receiver power rankings of the 2024 season. There were a couple of Tennessee Titans that were featured on the list. And what I want to get into is, how does one of those individual Tennessee Titan players maybe graduate to a higher ranking on D-Mase's list? We'll break down D-Mase's wide receiver power rankings coming up next. Reminder, ask D-Mase in 30 minutes, so get those questions in for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. And you can join Cromwell Media along with local athletes and musicians at Hermitage Golf Course on June 20th for the 615 Open. Make a difference while supporting Souls for Souls. Every $20 raised goes to a new pair of shoes for a local child experiencing homelessness. So sign up to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063, The Game and the Game Nashville app. We're streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. And we're broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. So yesterday we broke down D-Mase's 2024 wide receiver power rankings. Pro Football Focus put out a list of their own. So I thought, well, we have our own wide receiver experts. I don't care about what Pro Football Focus thinks. I care about what D-Mase thinks. So D-Mase came up with his own. Yeah, I don't care about you.
No.
I care about D-Mase. D-Mase came up with his own list of power rankings. But as he was listing them out, I was kind of comparing it to the Pro Football Focus list just to kind of see, what did you agree with? Maybe who was on the list that maybe wasn't on Pro Football Focus's list. But before we kind of break it down and analyze your list, D-Mase, let's do a quick recap of your 2024 wide receiver power rankings.
Yes, my 2024 power rankings when it comes to receivers, Willie, I had it missed. I was off 2 numbers because we were trying to figure out, is that I numbered them wrong?
That's okay.
So I had to add two people into the mix. So you will get to hear, Willie, the new 2 people that are on this list.
New and improved.
Well, I'm excited.
Exactly, new and improved.
Good.
So we're going to go quickly because I want you to let me know what you think of the list. Quickly, starting from the bottom. 32, you got Michael Pittman Jr. 31, I have Chris Godwin. 30, Garrett Wilson. 29, Terry McLaurin. Drake London, that's 28. 27 is Cooper Kupp.
Wow, so McLaurin's pretty low. That
Yeah,
my
McLaurin's
first thought,
pretty low. Yeah.
that you've got him lower than I may have thought,
Mm-hmm.
and I haven't done the list to compare, so I'm curious.
Okay, 27, Cooper Kupp. 26, Kristen Kirk. 25, Garrett Wilson. 24, Zay Flowers. 23, Puka Nacua. 22, Brandon Ayuk. 21, Keenan Allen. So that's the bottom 10 right there.
And
I think
these
that's
are
10.
your
No, 9.
guys.
Yeah, these are
your
my
rankings,
my
and nobody
rankings.
else's.
Yeah,
This is
nobody
the
else's
exclusive.
rankings. Absolutely.
Okay.
So now we're getting to the top 20. At 20, I got Nico Collins. 19, I got DeAndre Hopkins. 18, Jalen Waddle. 17, George Pickens. 16, T. Higgins. 15, Debo Samuel. 14, DJ Moore. 13, Calvin Ridley.
Ooh.
12, DK Metcalf. 11, Devontae Smith. And to round out the top 10, here we go. Amari Cooper at 10. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 9. Stephon Diggs, 8. Devontae Adams, 7. 6 is Jamar Chase. A.J. Brown is 5. C.D. Lamb is 4. Mike Evans, 3. Justin Jefferson, 2. And we all know who's number 1. Tyreek Hill.
Traylon Burks.
I wish Traylon was in this list. I wish I could put Traylon, and I mean that seriously. I wish I could put Traylon Burks, on this list. So, but that is my top 32 wide receivers for 2024. How I rank these, my qualifications or whatnot for rankings isn't all based on numbers. It's based on productivity, meaning guys that have done it for a long period of time, guys that did it last year, and what I project them to do in the future. Because I know many people are listening and they're thinking, well, Mike Evans, why is he in the top 5? Well, Mike Evans has been doing it for 10 years straight, and he hasn't lost a beat. He's been the most consistent wide receiver in the National Football League over the last 10 years. And I would dare to ask anybody to debate me on that because the numbers bear it out. He don't miss many games, if any. The guy is a consummate pro. He shows up and shows out just about every game. But every season, he shows up and he shows out.
He is your guy.
That's my guy.
You love
Yes.
Mike Evans.
That's my guy.
That is.
Yeah.
If I just heard anybody, if we had Nick read a list and say whose rankings are these, I would say that's D-Mase. Because these names, you have always sung the praises of Mike Evans. You have certain traits that you really like. So I think you probably have him rated higher than a lot of people would have, especially based on the stage of his career. But
Exactly.
I'm not surprised you have him there. I also think that you have D-Hop and Ridley higher than most people would have him have those two guys at this stage of their career. Is that fair?
Yeah, and the funny thing about it, Willie, is that I think PFF has Hop ranked higher than Ridley. Somebody has
Ridley's not on the list.
somebody has D-Hop ranked higher than Ridley, and I'm not sure which. And I forgot which one it
D-Hop's
was.
at 17
Yes.
on PFF's list. Ridley's not on the list.
And that is a head scratcher for me. What about you? And I'll tell you why it's a head scratcher for me, Willie. But I want to hear what you got to say about it.
About Ridley not being on the list?
Yeah, about Ridley not being on that list.
Well,
because you're talking about 30. What is it? Their top
Right.
what?
Top 32.
Top 32 receivers.
Roman
He's not in the
Dunze
top
is on the
30.
list.
Roman Dunze. And
Malik Neighbors is on the list.
After you
They
finish,
haven't even taken a step at the NFL.
After you finish saying what you got to say, Willie, I really want to dig into PFF for because that's crap. That is true
Yeah,
crap. That makes no damn sense whatsoever. And I will tell them that. That makes no sense that they need to be. It blows my mind how these three guys, they may turn out to be great, but how are they on the list? Go ahead, Willie.
I think you and Taylor Lewan could have a good vent session because on that Bussin' with the Boys, Taylor Lewan did have a fun section of the conversation talking about the PFF, the good and the bad, the reputation, right? If you grade well, it sounds good, but you also want to have that, hey, I didn't grade well, but I think I'm playing pretty well. I'm going more what my coaches are saying. But there are some red flags, I think. I haven't looked at Pro Football Focus. I don't subscribe to them, but you guys know I looked at a lot of Aaron Schatz numbers, and there's some other numbers that I like to look at that are on Pro Football Reference. And I do think there's some red flags with Ridley, especially now that we know this. When you get paid more, there's high expectations. And like we've vetted a lot with the DeAndre Hopkins. What does he do well? What does he not do well? What do you need to prepare yourself for based on what you're paying him at this stage of his career? The catch rate for Ridley last year, even though he had 1,000 yards, was only 56%. That's a little low, especially for a guy that doesn't have, and you've admitted this, D-Mase, a ton of explosive play kind of numbers when it comes to yards per catch, only 13.4. That's down from where he's been before at his peak. Like when he was with the Falcons, he had the one great year before he got suspended where he had 90 catches in 15 games, 1,374 yards, over 15 yards a catch, 9 touchdowns, catch rate 63%. So the numbers he had last year, even though it wasn't a bad year for Jacksonville, all of those numbers were down. The yards per catch, the yards, even though he played more games, and the catch rate was down. So I think these are the things I'm a little bit concerned with, just because there's a lot invested in Ridley, and I want to see him looking more like the 2020 Calvin Ridley more than the 2023 Calvin Ridley, and now he's going to be 30 years old.
Look, that's fair.
No, it's all fair.
Because I have the same concerns. I have similar concerns of, look, he's 29, so it's not like he's completely out of his prime, but it's also not like he's a spring chicken either. He had a great year in Jacksonville last year, had a great year in Atlanta in 2020, and then obviously, of course, we know the 2021 season. That was he took a leave for mental health, and then the gambling suspension in 2022. So it's been an incredibly, up and down and tumultuous kind of career so far for Calvin Ridley. And if that's a projection of what he's going to be with the Titans, is up and down, and I can't say that he's going to get suspended for gambling again because it's happened in the past, right? But I would agree with that. With the amount of money that the Titans are paying Calvin Ridley, can't afford to have an up and down. He is being paid like a number one wide receiver in the National Football League. Definitely
those numbers are going to have to be better. They are going to have. If you are the number one guy, they are paying you over $20 million. Your numbers need to be better. And he has good numbers, but those are not. They're paying you like a elite receiver for them, so the numbers need to bear that.
Yeah, getting paid like one doesn't make you one.
Absolutely. So, again, his numbers were good at Jacksonville last season, and they had their own issues with the health of the quarterback and how he played. So, everything wasn't – I try to look at his numbers and try to think, too, like, okay, maybe his numbers could have been a little bit better had Trevor Lawrence been healthier. And then that was really his first true season with the team, I believe, as a game in, game out starter. So those numbers may jump this season with hopefully the consistency with the quarterback and him playing every game. So I do hope, or I believe, the numbers will jump, but will they jump enough to justify me paying you like an elite receiver? That's what is going to be the question, and everybody's going to be looking at, because he's your guy. He's your 10, 11 touchdown a year guy for the next 3 or 4 years. He's your 1,300-yard guy for the next 3 or 4 years. He's your 85 to 100 catch guy for the next 2 to 3 years. Because you're paying him like
he's
that.
Never really done.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
Though.
And he's getting older, so those are legitimate red flags that you brought up, Willie.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. But I like, if I'm a Titans fan, I certainly like your optimism that he can be. I'm trying to be realistic of what I would expect, but his catch rate has gone down every year of his career, and I don't know why that is. I mean, this is a new system, so obviously they have a vision. Brian Callahan does, of how they can get the most out of him. But I'm trying to temper my expectations a little bit. What you'd hate to see, right? Because we didn't get this with D-Hop, and this is a big credit to him. I don't think anybody was disappointed in how he played, right? He had a good year. Everybody who was reasonable and saying, okay, I know I'm not going to get the 2015 D-Hop, but let's get good, solid play. I think he delivered on that. What you hate to see is a guy getting big money, and they're playing Ridley big money. Hopkins is more of, okay, let's make more of a veteran deal with this guy. If he's disappointing, you know what kind of noise that creates, right? It puts pressure on him. It's got everybody asking the coach and the quarterback, what's going on with Ridley? We're paying him all this money, and he's not delivering on that investment. That could be something that can create a lot of what do you want to say? Stress on a locker room a little bit.
Yeah, it can, and I think one of the things for me with Calvin Ridley that we just need to watch. D-Hop is great versus press. I think he does a good job at sort of that hand-to-hand combat at the line of scrimmage, getting off the line of scrimmage, getting moves. He does that very well. He used that short space quickness to his advantage. He doesn't have the long speed, but he has that short range quickness, and he uses it well. Ridley has trouble with press man-to-man. So are teams going to be willing to press in this lineup that the Titans have? Because I think it got a little bit difficult for Ridley once Christian Kirk went down, and he became that guy, because you wasn't getting much from Jones, I don't believe, but he became your guy in the tight end. He and Ingram were your two guys.
Yeah. He
did have trouble versus press coverage. Now, he may not face that as much because you got D-Hop on the other side and you got Tyler Boyd in the middle. So you may not face press coverage as much. But I am going to be watching this season versus press coverage. What are his numbers? Contested catches, because D-Hop is one of the best when it comes to contested catches.
Totally.
Can Calvin Ridley, because Calvin Ridley doesn't have that blazing down the field speed. He has good speed, but not blazing speed. So people are not going to be afraid to press him. What is your catch percentage on contested catches? So
Let's hear your beef on PFF.
Yeah.
My beef for PFS, it just, oh my goodness.
Okay, we're looking.
It
So
made me want
D-Mase
to
made his
curse.
own 32.
It made me want to curse. Seriously. It makes me want to curse.
Get into it.
Because
Don't do it on the radio.
Yeah, I'm not going to
do it during the break.
Yeah, I do it during the
And
break.
make sure Nick has your mic on.
Yes, please, D-Mase. We don't need nothing.
Okay.
There's been all sorts of Titans leaks this week.
Okay, so this is
You're
what
not on Bussin' with the Boys
This
right
is
now.
what I
Yeah.
don't understand. Roma Dunze, he's an excellent college player, but has he played a down? Has he played a down? He's barely caught footballs. He barely caught a NFL football. He's barely caught NFL footballs. Hadn't played a down or a season. hadn't walked into a NFL stadium where the crowd's there. And he hadn't heard the national anthem on an NFL level. He hadn't seen the planes go across on an NFL level. Nor has Marvin Harrison Jr.
Who's above Keenan Allen,
Exactly.
Jalen Waddle,
Nor
DK
has
Metcalf, Chris Olave, Drake London, Michael Pittman, George Pickens, Chris Godwin, and T. Higgins.
and nor has Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
None of the PFF, please have a conversation with me, because this is damn stupid. And I'm going to say that. This is damn stupid. That's like rewarding someone for something they have not done. Oh, you won the lottery even though you didn't play. I'm going to give you $300 million from the lottery, and you didn't play, but here you go. That's asinine. Complete asinine, PFF. I agree with some of the stuff that y'all do. I love it, like looking at individual players and how they played and go back and watch the film and then sort of mirror it up with PFF and how they grade. I enjoy that, But this right here is asinine. Asinine. That's what it is. It's a list that, why did you throw these guys in? I don't understand it. Michael Pittman Jr. has been in the league 2 years, and he's a good player. How's Rome Odunze, Neighbors, and Harrison over him? Okay? Who else they have over? Malik Neighbors over Drake London, over Chris Olave. These guys haven't sniffed a down. They haven't even smelled the grass of an NFL field stadium yet in game day. So how in the hell are you going to put these guys on the list? I don't get it. This makes no damn sense. These three guys do not deserve to be. They don't deserve to be on the list. They don't. Were they great college players? Absolutely. If you want to put them on a college list, put them on that list, and there'll probably be 1, 2, 3. Put them on the list. I have no problem with that. But when you start to try to put them on the NFL list, this shoots all your credibility down, because these guys hadn't sniffed a smell. They hadn't sniffed grass in the NFL on game day, and y'all got them ranked in the top 32. That makes no damn sense to me.
It's the same thing as the FanDuel list that had Will Levis ranked as the 32nd quarterback in the National Football League behind J.J. McCarthy and Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. They hadn't even been drafted yet.
And my theory is, because I'm a conspiracy theorist, my theory is y'all in bed with all these people's agents. Y'all in bed, and y'all. I would say y'all getting some kickback, or y'all get to have that. I don't know. Something has y'all putting these guys on this list that don't deserve. They may deserve it next year when you redo your list, or the year after that when you redo your list, because some of these guys may fall off, like my list. Some of these guys may fall off. But today, this year, they don't deserve to be on the list.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And anybody that tries to justify this, you must don't know football, because you cannot rank somebody in the top 32 that hasn't played a game in the National Football League. And I might as well throw LeBron James on
I agree with that.
You may as well.
I might as well throw LeBron James.
He's a great receiver.
Yeah, he'd be great.
What number is LeBron? 6 or 23?
Give him 6. I'm going to throw Russell Westbrook on here, too.
Close my eyes and point and say, yeah,
Exactly.
there.
Anthony Edwards, he played football in high school. He's a damn good football player. I'm throwing Anthony Edwards on the list.
And look, Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze and Marvin Harrison, they may end up being.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
They probably will end up being top 15, top 10 receivers in the NFL
reserve
one day.
them for next year.
Not now.
Yeah. It makes no
They hadn't done a damn thing.
sense. And anybody that agrees with that on PFF, I don't know what to tell you.
This goes back to my beef that I had yesterday. Willie, we played a clip from the Athletic Football Show podcast, and Mike Sando called the Titans a cupcake game for the Chicago Bears. Was that at least Caleb Williams starts the season off with a cupcake? I'm like, I'm sorry, is Alabama playing Butt Crack State University? Like, is that what this is? Is this Georgia Mercer?
On the record, I told you the day the schedule came out that I felt like the Bears will be a favorite in that game. So
but a cupcake?
Cupcake is ridiculous. It's a toss-up game, but I think a lot of Titans fans are saying, "Oh, you got the Bears. They can beat the Bears." Mm-hmm. But I want perspective on that. I do think the Bears, because it's at home, will be favored in that game over the Titans, and people shouldn't panic when they see that.
But and it goes back to the point.
They're not a cupcake. Bears. Yeah. It's like you think that's
with what looks like a cupcake.
Like
you're home against Tennessee. Will Levis coming in. I mean.
Yeah, well, it looks like a cupcake at home against Tennessee. Like, can we stop crowning rookies as the next greatest gift to football before they even play a snap. Like Mike Sando talking about Caleb Williams getting past the Titans and Will Levis. It's going to be no problem. I think Caleb Williams is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, but I don't know that. Everybody's talking about Caleb Williams like he's some veteran. This is his first game in the National Football League. It's the same thing with the receivers. Can we let them be great in the NFL before we label them as NFL greats? How about they earn it first? How about they do it first? It's exhausting.
I don't get it, and it makes me question when you do lists like this. Are these just names you're throwing on there because you're getting toward the end and you can't? It's like I don't want to do the work to find. And I don't believe that because you do so, PFF does so much work at putting all these, grades on players and going back and watching. So I don't want to believe that, but you threw these guys on the list and they have not caught a pass in the National Football League. They may turn out not to be great players, but y'all have them on the list. Why? Can you tell PFF? Would you be able to tell me why you have them on the list, and they hadn't played a down in the National Football League?
That doesn't make any sense. I would like to hear an explanation. Really, I'd love to have somebody on from there to tell me why that is. They must have a reason, but it doesn't make any sense. Because you're not going on grades that they've earned through the league play.
Exactly.
Right.
That's what I thought the whole thing was based on.
One texter texts in says, D-Mase, it's just someone else's opinion. Ease up. It's a dumb opinion.
It's a dumb opinion. I'm going to call this one a dumb. This one is dumb. It's dumb because you're adding 3 guys to a list that haven't even played in an NFL game. That's why this list doesn't make sense. This causes me to say the whole list don't make sense. I'm throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and I know you shouldn't do that. But when you put those 3 guys on there, it's like that list. Give me another list. Anybody that
you only get one more chance.
Exactly, absolutely.
Not get another one.
I bet not be the same. I bet not see the same answers. I bet not be the same answers for those answers that you got wrong. You bet not put C again. Oh, I look at it.
Ask D-Mase coming up next. Get those questions in for Derek Mason. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take your calls. We'll take your texts. All of the above coming up next for Ask D-Mase. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. Tune into 1025 The Game tomorrow as the Nashville Cats take on the Orlando Predators on the road. Only room for one Predator in this town, and it's the Nashville Predators. Pre-game at 5:30 p.m. and kickoff at 6 p.m. with coverage also available on the 1025 The Game app and at thegamenashville.com. Cats football coverage presented by Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
D-Mase. He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Garrett Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask D-Mase.
We'll welcome you in.
Now on Caroline, Willy, and
D-Mase.
on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Ask D-Mase. Get those questions in for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. We'll take your calls. We will take your texts. Any questions that you might have for D-Mase, get them in now. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. D-Mase, you ready?
Let's go.
Let's get it. Josh Texan says, hi, D-Mase. I want to ask you about the touchdown you scored with the Ravens against the Lions, where you took that big hit after catching the ball, but still were able to run it into the end zone. What was going through your mind on that play? And it looked really painful. 09 season against the Lions, week 14.
That's what was going on. Oh, that hurt. Damn, that hurt. But it's like, it's like one of those like delayed reaction things, and we all have them, and you see something, and you see somebody, and maybe they fall, and then they get up, and then all of a sudden they start limping. It's almost like that delayed reaction phase, like you expected them to, roll around when they fell, but they didn't, and they get back up, and it's like,
that actually hurts.
That did hurt.
Yeah,
that's how it was with me. It was Joe did a good job at trying to protect me. It was raining, my hometown team. We were playing the Detroit Lions in Baltimore. Catch a slant pass. I take a hit from the safety and take another hit from the corner. It was like simultaneously, and was able to stay on my feet and score a 62-yard touchdown. But it wasn't until I got in the end zone where I was like, oh, that hurt. That really hurt, because I was already dealing with a broken scapula. I had a torn rotator cuff. Had dislocated my shoulder, but they had popped it up. It didn't happen in that game, but it happened like 3 games prior. We were playing Houston, and all of that happened all in one play. So it was more so that than the actual hit. Like, you hit me right on my shoulder and my chest, right on the side of where my scapula was broke. But it wasn't until I got in the end zone, like, oh man, this really hurts. So, yeah.
Ouch.
It was brutal. It was
Ouch.
brutal.
Was that the play-by-play we played the other day? It was a 65-yarder?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Eric's on the line, our guy, with a question for D-Mase, and, of course, a dad joke as well. What's up, Eric?
Hey, guys. First of all, I really wish to both of you and Willie that and all the listeners have a great, safe Memorial Day holiday weekend. Hopefully,
as well,
be
Eric.
able to stay dry with all the stuff, the thunderstorms and everything. But I do have a dad joke, but I'm going to give you a heads up. This may be a groaner, I don't know, so I'm just going to throw it out there. Okay. Hey, did you hear
That's a good dad joke. A groaner is really what you're trying to get, right?
Yeah. Hey, did you hear about the guy who invented the lifesavers?
Lifesavers or like a lightsaber Star Wars?
Lifesavers, the candy.
Like the candy. Okay, I got it.
Did I hear about him?
I haven't heard about this guy.
I haven't.
Well, he made a mint. I was not sure. So
I give it a thumbs up.
That's a dad joke that
That's
all
a good
dads,
dad
as
joke.
they're saying it, they're laughing inside, and then the kids are looking at them like, Dad, that really.
Come on, Dad.
Yeah. That's how it feels, something like that. My question to you, D-Mase, is this: the NFL schedule was released, of course, last week. And one of the things people always talk about is, what do you prefer? Because I know Jeff Fisher said he would just prefer every game Sunday at 12 noon and all that type of stuff. Didn't care too much for the Sunday night games, the Thursday night games, the Monday night games, all that stuff, because, rest disadvantage and all that type of stuff, because he just preferred the routine. You as a player, what did you prefer? Did you prefer to play just Sunday every day time at noon, or were you kind of one of those guys, well, I like to play on the nationally televised games, especially the Sunday, the Monday, the Thursday night games, especially if they're at home in front of the fans? Did you want to be like the only person that played where everybody was watching, or did you prefer the routine of playing every Sunday at that noon schedule? because of routine and just disrupts your routine. Guys, y'all take care. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
You're the best, Eric. Thank
Appreciate
you.
It. I know some guys. Listen, I think everybody in the National Football League loves to play that prime time game, loves to be on national television, love to be the only game on. That's every player because you want, people that you love and, people that you went to high school with and college with and all this other stuff. You want them to be able to see you. So every guy likes to play a national televised game Monday night. Thursdays is kind of iffy because of the short week. But Thursday, Monday, Sunday night, everybody loves playing them. But me, it didn't matter. Really, it didn't matter. Now, Thursday night games again, as we got later in the season, it was like, oh, my goodness. But once you get the game there, it's like, let's go. Like, there's nothing we can do about it. Let's go. I got to get my body going quickly somehow, some way. But I would have played on Tuesday. I would have played on a Wednesday. I'd have played on a Thursday, not consecutively like every day. But if they asked us to play on a Friday, I'd have played on a Friday. Why? Because I enjoyed playing football. I loved playing football. I loved being out there. So whether we were on a national stage, which I loved, or whether we were just regional, it didn't matter to me because I was out there doing something that I enjoyed doing in front of our fans or either the opposing team fans. So to me, I didn't care. But you love playing that primetime game. Everybody loves playing that primetime game.
Do you think it makes any sort of difference? Like for Will Levis as a young quarterback, this is his first season going into the season knowing that he's the starter. What, all but 2 games the Titans play this upcoming year are at noon on Sunday? Because there's the 3:30 or 4:30 or whatever time that is against the Chargers. And then the Dolphins game on Monday Night Football. Mm-hmm. So 15 out of 17 games, Will Levis is going to be waking up and getting ready for a noon game. Is there some sort of mental at ease that a young quarterback might get in getting into a routine and knowing, okay, week after week after week, this is going to be my same routine and this is how I'm going to feel while doing it?
I think it is good, for a young guy because even though, you're playing at basically noon, if you're here at home, it's 1 somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Because we're on Central Time. But I think it's good to have that routine with a younger guy. Like I know, all of my games with the exception of 2 will be at a certain time. So I can get myself mentally prepared for that. I'm not playing a late game, or whatnot. So I think that can be beneficial. But I'm sure Will Levis, if you asked him, listen, yeah, it would be great if we had more national games. I think it would be great, which means they had a good season the previous year. So they have more, nationally televised games. So, but again, whether you're rookie, or 15-year vet, I think you do like to have those primetime games. But if we have noon games, majority of the time, I don't think it's a bad thing at all.
Let's get back into some of your questions for D-Mase. Alex from Franklin, Texas says, what do you think of Brian Callahan's public praise of Will Levis? Does he mean it, or is he trying to appease his bosses and everyone else?
I don't think he's trying to appease anybody. He doesn't come off as a guy that will just, blow smoke in your face. He seems like what he's saying, he believes it. And, that's until you show him otherwise. I think he believes in Will Levis. You had to have had those thoughts of belief in Will Levis. You took the job because we all know that you ain't taking a job if you don't believe you got a quarterback because you're not going to have that job for long, if you're not able to draft high enough to take one of these quarterbacks in the top 2 or 3 picks. So when he says that, I believe him. I believe him because you wouldn't have taken his job if you felt your quarterback didn't have the ability to become a really good quarterback in this league. Because I'm sure, when they were in this process, he watched film of Will Levis. You had to have watched film of Will Levis because your job is predicated on whether he does a good job or not.
And that can be Brian Callahan's truth right now.
Yes, exactly.
That can change after a few weeks, a couple seasons. Like, we talked about this yesterday, that Brian Callahan, if Will Levis throws 3 interceptions against the Chicago Bears and you lose by 4 touchdowns, I don't think Brian Callahan's going to get up at the podium and start praising Will Levis for all these things that he likes and talking about his toughness. If he does, that's just disingenuous. That for right now, this is Brian Callahan's impression of Will Levis.
Yeah.
We're very early in the relationship between those two. Things always can change. Right back into your questions for D-Mase after this. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you've got a call, text, and question for D-Mase. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase were brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet. Ask D-Mase. Get those questions in for D-Mase. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Get your calls in, get your texts in. Right back into your questions for D-Mase. Wes in Clarksville texts in and asks D-Mase, if the Titans offered you a coaching job, would you accept it?
I would have to think about it. Coaching isn't easy. Everybody can't do it. I think it takes a special individual to want to be a coach because, unlike a player, at a certain time, you get to go home. I'm going home with my family. Coaches, you're there after, and you're there as long as you need to, we need to get the game plan. Some nights are much longer than the others.
Early mornings,
and it's a grind, and you got to be prepared for the grind. It's a different grind from being a player, because at least for a player, the grind, you're able to then go on the field and like your frustrations and everything out, all that stuff that's built up, you're able to get it out on game day. You're able to just get it all out by play. Coaches, they don't. It's like, yeah, they may get it out, cheering and stuff like that. But still, it's totally different from, how a player approaches, things and how they go about their season. But it takes a special individual, especially, I think, now, the mentality of some of the players. Not to say that the mentality, what they think is wrong, but you have to come at them. There's no more, tough, just be tough or, coming at them. You can't just talk at them. You got to talk to them. You got to show that you hear them, so that's what you got to do with the athletes now. Men or women, boy, girl, doesn't matter. They want to feel as if what they're saying is heard by coaches. So, that's why a lot of old school coaches, some adapted to it, but some chose to, after a while, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm a segue out of here. But if the Titans did call me, it would be an honor for one, but I would have to think about it because you can't take a situation like that lightly. You can't just walk in and say, oh, because I played 15 years and I was great at it, all of a sudden I can coach. I can coach kids. I can coach young kids, but I haven't coached a grown-up. That's different. It's totally different. Right. So, yeah, I would think about it, and kind of go from there.
Always got to think about any opportunity that comes across your table. Willie D, are you spring fling bound?
Yes, the umpires are meeting with the coaches right now, so I've got to slide over to the NFHS network. Mm-hmm. So good stuff today. Wish me luck for weather throughout the day, or else it's going to be a very long day like it was yesterday. We had 2 delays. In fact, there were situations where both teams had to get together to take the tarp off the field, and we have to have a conversation at some point with you two Cardinal fans about the former closer Jason Mott, who now coaches Memphis Christian Brothers. That guy is an unbelievable character, and I sent you guys a picture of his beard. He is one piece of work. It's an
impressive beard.
It is very impressive. ZZ Top is impressed with his beard.
It's Santa Claus-esque.
It is, for sure.
Well, so have a great call, Willie. Good luck.
And have a great Memorial Day weekend. And Caroline, if all things go well, maybe Vanderbilt versus LSU on Sunday.
We shall see you in Hoover.
Okay, we'll see.
Shall see you in Hoover. Have a great Memorial Day weekend, Willie. Have a great call. We'll catch up next week.
All right, thanks,
guys.
Enjoy
it, Willie.
All right, enjoy it, Willie. Let's get back into some questions for D-Mase. What's the funniest thing that you've experienced during a huddle in a game?
Oh, man. Funniest thing. Gosh. Guys dancing. There were several situations like this is why my love for offensive linemen is always there because offensive linemen don't care. If you are in the moment as a player, offensive linemen will tell you, get your ass back in the huddle. Come on, let's go. Stop doing. Let's go. And that's what I loved about our offensive lineman here, in particular Brad. He always found a way to make sure guys, me or Kevin Dyson, we were back in the huddle. There had been several situations maybe it was Kevin, arguing or talking to a player, or we're just dancing as the music going in between huddles, and Brad, get in the huddle, get back in the huddle, get back in the huddle. It's like, Dad, shush, man.
Don't make me turn this car around.
Exactly. But no, and then other times, Brad was like, Mason, get back in the huddle, damn it. Because I'm arguing with somebody or I'm doing my own thing.
Gallivanting around.
Exactly. And he's screaming, get back in the huddle. So those moments were funny to me once, as you look back on them. It was like, yeah. But that's offensive linemen. They're like, man, stop all. We're trying to get back in the huddle so we can get back on the line of scrimmage. Stop with all that other stuff, so. But they're just mad they couldn't do it. Yeah, they were just mad they couldn't do it. They're just mad.
They have special personalities for sure.
That they do.
Unique, I think, is maybe the better word.
But you got to love them. You got to love the offensive lineman.
Absolutely. Josh Jackson says, if you suited up this coming year, what would your receiving yard total be? Ooh. And do you think you can score a touchdown?
Do I think I can score a touchdown? Yes, I can. And not because I think I'm just superior over other receivers or defensive backs. It's just the way the game is. If the coaches want me to score a touchdown, I'll score a touchdown. I'm going to catch the ball. That's what I'm going to do. And they may set me up and put me in a position where, based upon the coverage, I score a touchdown. That's just the way it is. So I think I would score a touchdown, but I'm not sure I would last the whole season. I'm just being honest. 17 games at 50 years old. Whew.
Possibly soon to be 18.
18? Yeah, man. I may get through the first 3. After that, man, we need to check my hamstrings every week, my quad muscles, everything. My back, my neck, everything. You need to check everything, each and every play, not game. Hey, Mason, you all right? Need some ice? You need something? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not that arrogant to sit here and say, oh, yeah, this is how many yards I will have. I know I would score a touchdown, but that has nothing to do really with me. It's just the design of the play. I figure whoever I would play for, they would design a play to get me in the end zone. Now it's up to me to catch it. And I believe I will catch the football. That I will do. But I'm going to get down very fast. But I don't think I'll make it through a whole season.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, don't touch me. Please don't touch me.
Please don't touch me.
Just put it in your contract. Like,
nobody touch me, please.
Only a red zone threat, 20 in. That's just going to be in the contract.
Yeah. And there's only certain routes I'm running. It's only
go?
certain routes I'm running. I run a go, I run a comeback, I run a curl. I'm not running anything toward the middle of the field unless we are in 4 wide receivers, 3 or 4 wide receivers, and y'all paying attention to everybody else, and they're like, oh, don't worry about that slow guy right there. And I end up catching the pass for a touchdown. That's typically what happens.
Don't worry about that old guy.
Don't worry about that old guy. He ain't gonna get nothing. And then I end up catching a touchdown. Now everybody mad. So there you go.
One texter's calling you a boomer for putting Mike Evans on your list.
What?
Maybe 3 years ago.
Oh my! Have y'all watched Mike Evans? The kid had 13 touchdowns last year, didn't he? Last I checked.
I haven't checked, but I'll take your word for it.
I think he had double-digit touchdowns last year.
Yep.
Let's see.
He did. He and Tyreek Hill led the league in touchdowns last year with 13. And he had over 1,000 yards.
1,250 yards, 13 touchdowns.
And how many yards did he average? What, like 13 yards?
16.
And you say I'm what?
He called you a boomer.
And you say I'm a boomer? Did you read off the numbers again? And these ain't just like, oh, he just had a great year that year.
1,255 receiving yards, 15.9 average, and 13 touchdowns. In 17 games.
Are those elite numbers?
Those are elite, especially for a 9-year veteran.
9-year veteran. Those are elite numbers.
Those are elite numbers.
And
don't forget,
still playing at
79 receptions too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It ain't like he was getting a bunch of opportunity. The kid is just a flat out. I call him a kid because he's younger than me, but he's just a flat out player. That's what he is. And people don't appreciate that. People don't in this league. Fans, and I'm gonna say this because I believe this is true. Fans, sports writers, and even some talking heads, they don't appreciate consistency in this league. They want the wow. They want the, oh, this guy popped this year. I get that. That is great, and I like it too. But I don't want you to just pop every 1 year. I want you to be consistent in that. And there are some guys that have been consistent, and Evans is one of those guys. Look at his career. He's been consistent the minute he put on the NFL helmet. He was consistent. And he's been consistent 10 years later. He's still consistent. People don't appreciate that. You want to see the wows. You want to see the dancing. You want to see all this stuff that these kids do nowadays. And it's great. I like seeing it, because I never did it, but I like to see it. But you can't look at a Mike Evans and say, oh, why do you have it? Well, if you ever watch Mike Evans play, you'll know why I have him as high as I do. But that's just me. Because I look at the game totally different from a lot of other people. They look at it for the wow. I'm not looking at it for the wow.
Do you think part of the reason that is because he plays in Tampa Bay?
It could
when Tom Brady was quarterbacking in Tampa Bay, we talked a lot about Mike Evans.
We talked a lot about Mike Evans because of the quarterback.
Yeah.
But it's sad that it took that for people to really notice how good Mike Evans is as a player.
Welcome to life in the NFL.
Exactly. So, but go look at Mike Evans' numbers. Go look at him play, and you'll understand why I have him as high as I do.
Someone said that you have a full no-touch clause in your contract.
Oh, yeah.
Don't touch me.
Yeah, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Nobody in the NFL.
It's in my contract.
Don't touch me, Dad. I'm going to have my contract in my back pocket just in case somebody forgets. I will pull out the contract. Line 4. Section 8, don't touch Mason when he catches the football.
Read the fine print, bucko. Can't touch me. $5,000 fine. Thank you very much. All right, coming up next. I know we talked about this with the Predators' first home game in the playoffs, Game 3. I looked around and I was like, where the heck is everybody? Talked about Titans attendance over the past couple of years. And, of course, there are several different factors there of teams not very good, I don't really want to go, or traffic for the Predators game. Several different factors. But whenever we talk about this and have conversations about attendance at games, there is one common theme, no matter what team we're talking about, no matter what time of year we're talking about. Could there be a change on the horizon and a change coming at the perfect time for the Titans' new stadium? We'll get into that coming up next. And, of course, back into your phones as well. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Purchase your tickets. That's awfully apropos. Now for the Music City Grand Prix at the Nashville Superspeedway on Friday, September 13th through Sunday, September 15th, and you can find those at musiccitygp.com. As the race and station 1025 The Game has a special offer that is for a limited time. Use promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, for a 20% discount right now through June 16th. You can also tune in for the Indy 500 race on 1025 The Game this Sunday. Coverage begins at 10 a.m., and it is brought to you by Green Trees Company Dispensary, providing high-quality legal THC products.
All right, it's about time to take it to the bank, thanks to our friends at F&M Bank. All you've got to do is go to their website, myfmbank.com, and find the nearest location to you. Chances are there's one right in your area. How about downtown Nashville or midtown Nashville on West End Avenue, downtown Franklin on Main Street, Mount Juliet, Murfreesboro, right smack dab in the middle of those communities, Sumner, Robertson counties, they're right in midtown. All of these places can help you with their philosophy, and that is banking made easy on purpose. Financing, life in general, can be complicated. That's what the relationship with F&M Bank aims to do, regardless of where you are in your financial picture. Whether you're young and just getting started, trying to get an organized system with the Smart Swipe card that saves you money every time you use it, or something more complex like a business owner, and you're looking for business-to-business loans and how you try to thrive as a small business in this world we live in. myfmbank.com. Find the nearest location and start the relationship. Banking made easy on purpose. Decisions made locally, and your business means more to them. We take it to the bank in just a moment. with F&M Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063, The Game, and the Game Nashville app. We are streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook Live every single day. And we're broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willy Donick had to dip. He's got bigger fish to fry. He's got high school baseball games to call.
Hey, come on now.
Come on, Willy. Willy getting back on the play-by-play horse.
All right, now, Willy.
Predators are out of the playoffs. He's got to keep flexing his play-by-play muscle. So happy for Willy, and we'll catch back up with Willy on Tuesday. Reminder: no normal programming on Monday, but Nick Frazier will be on the air on Monday. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, have some fun with Forrest Company. How about that?
Absolutely, we're looking forward to tuning in.
Thank you.
So D-Mase, I remember talking about this in the 2021 Titan season. We talked about it again 2022 Titan season. And it's always a topic of conversation whenever the Bills come to town, the Packers come to town, the Cowboys coming to town. And it's Titans fan attendance. And it was kind of a topic, too, after Game 3 of the playoffs this past year. Of course, it was the first home game for the Predators. The home environment wasn't as rowdy as maybe we've grown accustomed to at Bridgestone Arena. And, of course, there's always excuses of, well, the weather's bad if it's an outdoor Titan game at the end of the season. Or, for the Predators example, there was really bad traffic that day, and puck drop was at 6:30. If you leave work at 5, it's tough to get home and then get back downtown. I get it. I understand it. But whenever we talk about attendance, overwhelmingly, doesn't matter what year it is, what game it is, what team it is, what season it is. Whenever we talk about attendance, the number one reason every single time is tickets are too damn expensive. I got to buy the ticket, and then I have to pay for parking. And then if it's me and my family, it's the concessions that aren't cheap. If it's you and, your significant other and 2 kids, for a family of 4, you're looking at about $1,000 altogether with parking and tickets and the hot dogs and the $17 sodas. Like, it's an expensive outing. So I get it. And I don't think concession prices are dropping anytime soon. Parking, it is what it is. But ticket prices could potentially be on the brink of a change. Because it was announced yesterday afternoon that the Department of Justice is suing Live Nation, which is the parent company of Ticketmaster, for a monopoly on tickets. If you've bought a ticket at all for anything on Ticketmaster or any of these third-party ticket sites, you'll know that they nickel and dime you and price gouge the heck out of you with the taxes and the fees. And it's like sometimes the taxes and the fees are more than the tickets themselves. And it's like, what the heck is even the point of getting tickets if I'm just going to have to pay double for them anyway? I thought my total was going to be $250. Where did $725 come from? My goodness. So now the Department of Justice is suing Live Nation and Ticketmaster for monopolizing the ticket market. And just to put this into perspective, across 265 concert venues in North America, I would say an overwhelming percentage of those concert venues are also hockey venues, basketball venues, football venues. Live Nation controls about 60% of concert promotions at those major concert venues across the country, and roughly 80% of their primary ticketing. Overwhelming majority that Live Nation has basically complete control of. If they want to up the prices, if they want to up the fees just for funsies, like, they can do that. So that could potentially potentially come into a close. Essentially, the entire point of the lawsuit and the entire point of the Department of Justice suing Live Nation is to bring those prices down, to get a little bit of diversification in the marketplace as far as tickets are concerned. And I think if you're Amy Adams Strunk, if you're the Titans and you're looking at trying to put butts in the seats of Nissan Stadium, you want to find your franchise quarterback. You want to have a competitive team. And overall, what we've heard from Titans fans, especially in the 2021 season when you were the number 1 seed in the AFC, it didn't really matter how good the team was. People just can't afford it. So I think this could potentially be coming at the perfect time of getting butts in seats and making things just more accessible for sports fans.
Yeah, I mean, but this goes along with everything in just about everything in the world today. It's getting pricier and pricier to live. It gets pricier and pricier to enjoy life, to enjoy the things that we used to enjoy and love, concerts, ball games, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, hockey. It's getting more and more expensive. You are pricing. You say that the fans are the ones that helps this sport grow, and it helps this sport have the success that it is having. But yet and still you are pricing a lot of those, people out, a lot of those true, first day fans, people that have been fans of teams for 30, 40 years, that could, take their kid to a football game and not feel as if, man, we got to choose between going to a football game or doing this.
Yeah, I still need to put dinner on the table.
Exactly. But you want to be able to enjoy life. You want to be able to take your kid to a ball game or to a concert or whatnot. And it's just getting pricier and pricier. For what reason? You're saying the fans are the ones that make the sport. And I'm only talking about the sport. I'm not even talking about concerts, because that gets ridiculous. Concert tickets are ridiculous.
And some are they've always been expensive.
Exactly.
If you want to go see Beyonce on the floor, you're going to have to pay a pretty penny for that.
You giving up your month's rent for that one.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to eat. That's fine.
That's what you're doing.
Delicious. I want to go see Queen Bee. But that's your choice. Mm-hmm. It's price gouging out the average fan.
Exactly.
With the excessive fees. Mm-hmm. And there's really, what's deterring Ticketmaster from jacking up the ticket prices and the fee prices if there's no competition out there, when you are the only option to get those tickets?
Yeah, and, the NFL has their face value for a ticket. I'm sure if you go to the Titans website to get their ticket, it's much different than if you go on Ticketmaster to get their ticket. So that's why, to me, and I know a lot of times, you may not be able to, get a ticket, in a particular area that you want to be in. So you got to go to Ticketmaster because they have those other tickets that you can sort of buy. I get that. But this is why NFL teams need to push hard, really hard. But listen, they may be in bed with, Ticketmaster and Live Nation and all that stuff, because you don't want to price your, with all these other extra fees, you don't want to price people out not being able to come to a ball game. You just don't. Because I look at the Super Bowl and stuff that's not for fans.
Those are premier events.
Yeah, those are not for fans.
That's for celebrities.
Yeah, those are for celebrities and people that can pay that $5,000 per ticket, and then they don't care about paying the extra fees on Ticketmaster to get their tickets. But you're pricing people out. Fans that have been with you for the longest, you're pricing people out if they have to go to Ticketmaster because of all of this other stuff. And that's not even adding on what they got to pay once they get to the stadium. So it's just money on top of money. And listen, I'm sure Ticketmaster don't give a damn. They don't. If they did, they wouldn't be in this situation. They don't give a damn. So how do you rectify? Well, the government has to come in and sort of checks and balances and sort of try to get things back in order. But how long will this take? It's a lawsuit. You know how long this is going to continue to go? For years. They're going to continue to push this thing out for years. So, yes, you brought it to the forefront, but when is it going to get rectified? When is the problem going to get taken care of? Because what's going to happen is, there's a lot of money involved by Ticketmaster and Live Nation. They ain't going to just lay down and just let you have it.
Of course not.
They're going to fight tooth and nail. So how long is that going to last?
This article that I read from USA Today that's kind of highlighting both sides of it, the Live Nation side, the DOJ side of it. One portion says fans shouldn't expect any changes from this lawsuit in the near term. It says antitrust litigation unfortunately takes a long time.
Exactly.
This is just the first step in the process. We're looking years down the road. It's never a simple process.
It's not. Even though it was brought to light, there will be no resolution for years down the line, even if they come to a resolution in this case. So, yes, it's good that, the DOJ stepped in and want to figure out want to make sure there are checks and balances, want to make sure that you are not monopolizing, which you are, because they own 60%, but then they own 80% of all tickets. They control 80% of all tickets. That's a lot.
That's a monopoly.
And listen, I'm all about listen, a capitalist, and earning your money and being able to make as much money as you want. I get that, all of that. But in doing that, you're pricing the fan that would love to go to a game out of it because of all these extra fees and stuff.
But what capitalism is a fair and competitive
exactly,
marketplace.
Absolutely.
When there is one entity that controls 80% of a marketplace, that is a clear violation of antitrust.
Exactly.
That is not a fair and competitive marketplace.
But didn't the DOJ, I guess they had to put together their case. So I should refrain from saying what I'm going to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Because this merger happened not too long ago with Ticketmaster and Live Nation, right?
That I don't know.
It didn't happen. It's been some years. I think the
that's
article
a merger
said
that could have been blocked if it was
exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
Antitrust
and
laws.
that's what I'm saying. Like, didn't y'all think when they were doing this merger, because these are two big companies, two big entities, and they're merging? Didn't y'all think that this was going to be the problem down the line, and why y'all couldn't take care of it? Again, I don't know all the particulars in it. I'm not an antitrust lawyer, so I don't know all the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know when the merger happened, how the companies are aligned. That's a good question that I can continue to look into. But we have a bunch of thoughts on this, so I do want to get into the phones. Phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you have a thought on this. Jim's on the line with a thought on the ticket situation. What's up, Jim?
Hey, I'm going to try to rattle through real quick. First, I appreciate the DOJ taking this on. One major beef with Ticketmaster, the fee is $13-16 for a ticket fee, a service fee, pisses me off. But when you're going with a family of four, that fee for every one of those tickets, it doesn't cost that much to process this stuff. Item two, cost to go to a game, when will it come down? When people actually stop going. Every time there's a strike or the team does this, we're not going to go, we're going to protest. The next day, the same people are buying tickets. Third, last point, I won't go to a game anymore because I don't want to go and pay all those high prices and then get stuck sitting on a bunch of drunk a-holes who decide they have to stand the entire freaking game. I'll watch it on my big screen TV where I can go take a leak, 10 feet from the TV. So that's my points. Thanks for listening.
Hey, thanks for your call, Jim. And
Thank you, Jim.
I don't blame him.
And
There's
that's probably
no
the
line for
sentiment of a
bathroom at
lot of
home.
people.
Yeah, that it's I don't want to pay the prices, and I also just want to be in the comfort of my own home.
Exactly.
And that's what you prefer. I get it, but it's the people that want to be there for the in-game experience, but can't be there for the in-game experience because they can't afford it. And look. I'm not saying that every ticket needs to be $5.
No.
That's not the point. It's the point is there are affordable ticket prices out there, and then with the taxes and the fees on these third-party ticket sites that turn an affordable ticket into a premium price ticket. Like, for example, I just pulled up Ticketmaster. I'm going to click on the first thing that pops up. Justin Timberlake. Let's see what it would cost to go to Justin Timberlake on Wednesday night in San Antonio.
That's a pretty penny, Caroline.
Well, I'm not going to buy these tickets.
I'm not
going to San Antonio.
I'm just saying, JT's an expensive ticket.
Okay, but this one, Section 209, Row 23. It looks like it's in the nosebleeds. $59.
Okay, that's cool.
I
can do that.
I love Justin Timberlake, and I live in San Antonio. I don't have a big budget. $59? Cool. I'll get $59. 2 tickets, $59 times 2. That would be what? 118?
Yep.
Okay, 118 is the total. Cool. I'm going to check out. I have to be very careful.
Don't buy the tickets.
But I'm not going to buy the tickets. Service fees, $23.
That's a half of what the ticket is down there.
Half of what the ticket is.
Yeah.
Tax, $7. That's not really that bad. But what went from 118, the total price is $150. That's really not as bad as compared to some ticket prices that I've seen.
But that's in the nosebleed.
That's in the nosebleeds.
Yeah. So as you start to come further down, the ticket raises, the ticket price goes up, and then obviously the percentage of what you is the percentage a base, or is it based upon the price of the ticket, or is it just a flat fee?
I think it's based upon the price of the ticket.
Which
and
means
obviously taxes differ per state.
Exactly, which means it goes up as the ticket price goes up.
Yeah. Let's look at Titans' first home game against the Jets.
Just a little tidbit about your little $59 ticket there, Caroline.
Mm-hmm.
Just know on Ticketmaster, sometimes, like I said, you have to read the fine print because some of those cheaper tickets you think you're getting a deal on, obstruction of view. So just putting that out there.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
The good thing is I'm not going to that.
Exactly.
So it's okay. But that is true that, you think you're getting a cheap ticket.
Yeah.
Surprise, you're behind a pole.
Yeah. I would be so mad.
I'm going to see JT and no.
Damn. Okay.
Okay, I'm looking at these tickets for the first Titans game against the Jets.
On a third party.
Third-party ticket site, section 124. So that's in one of the end zones in the lower bowl. 2 tickets, $215 total.
A ticket? Oh, total? $215. Okay.
$40 service fee, $10 tax, $3 price processing fee. So that's what, 30% of what the total of the tickets are?
Yeah. See?
If you're getting 2 tickets, that's $106.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It ain't cheap.
No,
It ain't cheap. Well, let's get back into your thoughts on this because we've got a bunch of reaction on again, this is the Department of Justice is suing Live Nation and Ticketmaster for basically monopolizing the ticket marketplace. Again, as this article in USA Today says, 80% of the ticket marketplace for nearly 300 venues across the United States, 80% of it is controlled by Ticketmaster. And we all know, we've all experienced it. If you bought tickets on Ticketmaster or a third-party website, you've experienced the taxes and the fees and the price gouging. So we'll get right into your reaction on this coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are brought to you by Zen Sports. Start earning cash rewards on your bets today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and in Tennessee to bet.
Let's talk about Zen Sports, the new sportsbook in Tennessee that's bringing sports betting to a whole new level, people, and I mean that literally. When you sign up for Zen Sports, you'll automatically earn up to $1,000, no danger first wager. If your first bet loses, you'll be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to $1,000. Man, that's good news. Also, Zen Sports offers true odds on all parlays and boosted same-game parlays for all Tennessee sports. That means boosted up to 20% over other books in Tennessee. And there's even more good news, people. Zen Sports offers a one-of-a-kind VIP reward program. If you qualify, you got to qualify, people. You'll earn monthly comps at sporting events. We have a bunch of them here with the Titans and the Predators and some other teams. Concerts, we have them all. You name it. Even sport book bonuses. The VIP program is by invite only. So, if you feel that your Zen Sports play qualifies for the VIP consideration, check out the program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. So, what are you waiting for, people? The daily same game parlay boosts go quickly. That quick. They can be gone. So get going and download their app at zensports.com today. That's Zen Sports, where betting just got better. And remember, gambling problems, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 years or older to bet here in Tennessee.
Nashville's best deal of the week is Joyland in East Nashville. Joyland is a fun new concept by Chef Sean Brock designed to spread joy through his love of cheeseburgers, shakes, buttermilk biscuits, fries, and fried chicken. Get a half off a $30 Joyland gift card right now while supplies last at theGameNashville.com/deals and enjoy the best burger in town. We're reacting to the recent lawsuit. The Department of Justice is placing an antitrust lawsuit on Live Nation and Ticketmaster for monopolizing the virtual concert ticket marketplace. And of course, that also applies to football tickets, hockey tickets, sporting events. Anybody that's bought a ticket in the last, 5 years gets that. The taxes and the fees and the prices, they are outrageous. One thing that I do want to point out is I understand that premium tickets have always existed.
Yes.
That there's going to be tiers of pricing for tickets no matter what. But the problem here is that the Department of Justice is pointing out is there is zero competition in the marketplace. So if Ticketmaster wants to price gouge or add on a ton of taxes and fees so more money goes into their pocket, they can do that because there isn't enough diversity of ticket vendors, at least virtually, for about 300 concert venues, which also applies to football stadiums, hockey arenas, arenas in general, so on and so forth.
Now, they merged in 2010.
2010. Okay, so it's been nearly 15 years.
15. 14, almost 15. 15 next year. Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to get into your reaction on this. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you've got a thought on this, again, it's not going to be something that gets resolved overnight. It's not going to be a quick process. But looking at the Titan Stadium opening in 2027, I know they want butts in seats. If tickets are more accessible, they're not price gouging out a lot of fans that just simply cannot afford to go to games because it's an expensive day. Gets more butts and seats. But let's get into your thoughts on this. One texter texts in and says, how about we stop paying quarterbacks $50 million a year? The amount of money, the salary cap rather, the amount of money that's available for owners and players, the market for what NFL players are getting paid, tickets are an itty-bitty, teeny-weeny little fraction of that income. It's the TV deals. The TV deals is where they make a ton of money. It's not off of the $50 surcharge that you pay on Ticketmaster. That's not the case.
No, it's not. This ticket situation, and obviously there is a problem. If there wasn't a problem, then would DOJ be even presenting this lawsuit? Of course not. Or maybe they would have. I don't know. So there is a problem here. How do you, and again, this is not going to be situated for the next 5 to 10 years. It may be a decade before they actually come to a ruling on this case. My thing is, why do you want to? Because you got to know if you're Ticketmaster and Live Nation, and I understand the bottom line is the bottom line, and that's the money. I get it.
It's business.
It's business. I fully understand that. But in doing business, are you starting to realize that the ticket sales are not going as well as they used to go now that you have all of these extra fees? And you had these fees, but I'm sure the fees have went up every year because everything has gone up every year. No matter what, they give you some justification. They may not even be the truth, but they give you a justification for it. So didn't you notice, or haven't you noticed that, people are not, spending the money that they used to spend on tickets because they can't, because they're too pricey?
But then I look at people spending $20,000 on Taylor Swift tickets.
Yeah, but typically those are people that can.
Yeah.
Those are people that can. They're not worried about paying over $1,000 in fees, because that's originally what they would pay if they bought a secondhand market. You're paying that much money for a ticket. Your fees are going to be higher. So people like that don't care. They don't care about that stuff. It's the people that, that look at the ticket and say, I want to go. And it's not even a $300 ticket. It may be a $100 ticket or a $150 ticket. But then they look at the fees and like, man, I can't go because it's not just me going by myself. I would have to buy my son a ticket or my daughter a ticket, or my wife or girlfriend a ticket too. So, man, we'll just skip this one. So I'm sure they've seen the numbers dwindle down some in regards to attendance at places. It has to be because we've seen articles of attendance being down at concerts or venues having to cancel because they can't sell tickets. Mm-hmm. But I guess they don't care.
I do wonder if there has been a dwindling in attendance, or if it's just attractive to a different group of people.
Yeah, it could be.
Jeff texts in and says, it is worth noting, if I'm not mistaken, for a country that worships capitalism, there sure seems to be a lot of complaining about it in every corner of this country. This lawsuit is basically what the DOJ is placing a lawsuit on Live Nation for is for being inherently anti-capitalist. Because what the Department of Justice is suing Live Nation for is holding a monopoly in the ticket marketplace. It is antitrust. Antitrust promotes a fair and competitive marketplace. Monopolies are not a fair and competitive marketplace, and that's how the Department of Justice views what Live Nation and Ticketmaster, basically the chokehold that they have over the online ticket marketplace, is not fair and not competitive. So I'm not complaining about prices. Prices are high.
Prices
absolutely.
are going to be, ticket prices are going to be ticket prices.
Ticket prices are ticket prices. Expensive tickets have existed from the beginning of time. It's now who holds the power of the pricing for tickets. If there's not several different marketplaces, if there's not enough of a diversity of the marketplace, then Ticketmaster can charge whatever the heck they want. What else are you going to do?
Exactly. They have no reason to change, their practices. If they're the only people, if you need a pair of shoes or a pair of socks, and I own 80% of the shoes and socks, you got to come to me no matter what. You may be able to go to somebody else, but eventually they're going to run out because the supply is low on their end. You know who got all the supplies? Me. And I get to dictate what the price is going to be because you need it and you want it. That's not cool. Like, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
There's a lot of text in the text line about supply and demand, that if you wait closer to
and sometimes
game
that
time
does
and concert
happen,
time,
yes.
the ticket prices are always in flux. Like if you try to get an Uber after a Titans game, it's going to be a lot more difficult than if it's just a random time in the middle of the afternoon. Supply and demand absolutely is a thing, but the kicker here is basically there is one place in charge of the supply, and you have to all of the demand goes to that one place. So you have one entity controlling the supply. So that's where the issue is there. That's the monopoly. Another texter says, I don't see how this gets fixed. If they eliminate the fees to the individual, they'll put the fees on the events, which will just raise the prices under a different disguise. It's not necessarily eliminating the fees. It's about having different places to buy tickets.
Because some tickets may be lower on another site.
Exactly. That you have to be competitive.
Exactly.
And what the DOJ is trying to get Live Nation and Ticketmaster to do is to break up into several different companies and to several different entities, so those entities are competing amongst one another. If there is one place controlling the tickets, there's no competition. Therefore, the prices can be set at whatever it wants. Ticket fees are going to exist. Expensive tickets are going to exist. But if there's a competitive marketplace, prices might be brought down due to that supply and demand.
Yeah, it's just like anything else. You go to one place and, you get a price, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to say, especially people that are on like a strict budget. They're looking for the best deal. So when I go to a grocery store, I don't just have to go to Kroger. I don't just have to go to Publix. I don't just have to go to Trader Joe's. There's several different stores that I can go to and find the price that better suits my budget. You can't do that here. There's only one place really to go, and that's Ticketmaster.
Or that's at least what the Department of
Justice
Justice
is suing for.
Exactly,
Yeah, that's what the Department of Justice is saying in their lawsuit, basically.
Yeah, totally. John's on the line with a thought on concert tickets. What's up, John?
It's me.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, so I just wanted to say on the ticket part, the fees that they charge, the extra fees, typically that's what goes to Ticketmaster. Then the rest usually will go to whatever the venue or the whatever is there. It could be anywhere from 15 to 35%. There's plenty of secondhand market ticket opportunities out there. That's a very free and open place. You could list your tickets for resale in 4 or 5 different places. But the person, they get their fee for managing that whole process for the event. They don't have to do it. The problem that I see on the music side here in Nashville and probably in other places is Live Nation has the arrangements with the bands, and then they control where they're going to place them. And so they have arrangements with venues inside of Nashville. So you'll see certain bands playing only certain venues here, usually the ones that are hot or up and coming. I'm not talking about just Bridgestone or the Ryman's under AXS, but the other places. Mm-hmm. And then the other venues maybe getting people that are not signed or on their way up, or maybe they've lost their deal. So I think that's what's strange is they're controlling a whole lot more than just the tickets prices and the ticket charge. If that makes sense. That's all I got.
Thank you for the call.
Thanks for your
so
call,
it
John.
seems like, if I'm understanding this right, the fees that they're charging all go to Live Nation, but it's negotiated with the artists and their people. Like, we negotiate the ticket prices and everything. We're not getting a part of the ticket price, but we want to be able to get our money based upon the performer. Like, say, for instance, Taylor Swift or Beyonce,
Right,
or Bruno Mars, somebody like one of these big artists. They come to Bridgestone, or they go, more than likely they're going to go to Nissan Stadium. So Live Nation, if I'm understanding it right, negotiates with them the ticket price and the fees. Is that what he said in a sense?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's
like if you go to a local venue, let's just say, prime example, like over off Elliston Place, the Exit Inn. Like I was there at a concert there probably about a week and a half ago to see a buddy perform, and I know when you buy a ticket there physically, a certain percentage goes to his band and it gets divvied out. The other percentage goes to the venue itself, and that's where, like Caroline was mentioning in the break, you go to a certain concert at like Ascend or something, then they'll get all of that proceeds there. But if it goes through Live Nation, say at a small venue like that here in Nashville, then that's where it starts to get kind of iffy, where it goes through the band and they get their cut, then Live Nation gets that cut. But it's almost like the caller was saying, it dictates to like where they're going to play, depending on Live Nation's.
Because they have a relationship, so we're going to place you here.
Right.
We've already set, we've already negotiate the price of the ticket and the fee that we're going to charge, so we're going to place you here like Nissan. We'll place you
because
in
they could get away with it. That's kind of how I interpreted
Okay.
the call. I mean, that's just me.
I don't know how that gets worked out. I think with concerts, I think are different than
concerts
like
are different
sporting
than
events.
Sporting events,
Working with the managers and the label,
because there's so many people like in the middle,
right?
But yeah, it's one that will not be settled anytime soon. So people, if this has been sort of your hiccup with ticket prices, mainly like Ticketmaster or Live Nation, then listen, you're not going to see any change no time soon. This thing is going to continue. Honestly, you may not ever see a change.
Well, it would have to go through an entire process, and the court would have to rule that Live Nation and Ticketmaster are, in fact, in violation of antitrust laws. And we know that process has never worked.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing to follow.
Yeah.
We will take it to the bank coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. now time to take it to the bank with F&M Bank. Customer, community, F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Business is complicated, but banking doesn't have to be. F&M Bank. Visit one of their 20 locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. Nick Frazier, how did we do last week?
Caroline, I will say Willy is coming back. He had a perfect 10 last week. He's at 54.
Dang.
But Caroline had an 8 last week, so now it puts her at 62.
Okay.
All right.
D-Mase didn't give me a...
yeah, I was so busy.
Yeah, it's okay. 31.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 19. I have 31.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
My bad.
Oh, you thought you had 31? You don't.
Sorry, man. My bad.
You have 19.
Quickly, I was brought back to reality. No, you don't have 31.
Oh, you thought?
Hey, just because of that, D-Mase, you go ahead. You go first.
Oh, my goodness. All right, here we go. I got to try to get some points here. I got to get on a positive roll. Give me Dallas. I'm taking the points. I think it's a 5.5, somewhere around there. Give me Dallas and the points.
Yep.
Kyrie and Doncic plus 50 combined points. They will score plus 50. And will have plus 25 points, so 25 points or more. And I predict the Fever get their first win versus the Spark.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Caroline?
Los Angeles
All right.
Sparks.
I'm keeping an eye on Hoover. I am going to say that Kentucky will advance to the SEC tournament semifinal and take on LSU in the semifinal. And I'm going to take Tennessee, I'm sorry, Nick, to beat Mississippi State.
It's all right.
And it's going to be a little UT Vandy rematch in the semifinal on Saturday. And I'm going to take
Oh, no.
the Vanderbilt Commodores
Oh.
to win the SEC tournament for the second year in a row.
Oh. Okay.
All right. As for myself, I will be taking the Cardinals to win their weekend series, show a little optimism. Also taking Mississippi State to win the SEC tournament.
Ooh.
And to top it all off, I'm feeling generous, very generous. I'm saying Anthony Edwards drops 35 points. I'm going with that.
I like that.
That's what I'm going with, and I'm done. Caroline.
Wow. I hope he drops 34.
All right, D-Mase.
I'm messing with you, Nick. I'm not trying to catch you, Nick. I'm trying to catch her.
You're not
Trying to
catching
catch
me.
her.
Oh,
you heard? Did you record that? She said, I'm not catching her. Okay.
You're not catching me. Maybe catch up to Nick first, Mr. 19, before you get to me. Let's run before or we
think
sprint
small,
here,
okay?
D-Base.
You got to crawl before you walk.
Yeah, let's crawl before we sprint, okay? All right? I'll be big-headed and fat and happy up here as long as I can be. That is going to do it for us today. Have a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. Reminder why we have Memorial Day. Thank you to all of those who have served our country and have paid the ultimate sacrifice. We will be back Tuesday morning. Still Many Companies up next.
Be loved and love on your people. Have a wonderful and safe Memorial Day weekend. Check the weather before you go on the lake. Peace.